Paul Rutherford on the right, up front George Miller and Scott Bowden. There's one change on the bench as James Hurst has overcome his damaged toe and is back on the bench alongside Christian Dibble, Jack McCrath, Mark Carrington and Akil Rice, who has just signed a permanent deal with Wrexham, of course, and will remain with us for the next 2.5 years. As for Torquay United, they line up with Vincent Dorel in goal. I think 3 at the back, although, as you often find in a team that's struggling in the league, Torquay have been switching and changing and mixing and matching their formations, desperately trying to find something that works. So we think 3 at the back. It should be George Dowling, Sean McGinty and Axel Oscar Anderson. The wing-backs are Michi Effet and Liam Davis. In midfield, Damon Lathrop and Luke Young are joined by a debutant on loan from Cardiff, Tommy O'Sullivan, and there's another debutant on loan up front, and that's Alex Fletcher from Plymouth, who lines up alongside Jamie Reid. The subs bench for Torquay, Ryan Clark is the keeper, John Paul Pittman, Rory Keating, yes, he's related to Ronan Keating, I'm going to try and not mention that again during the commentary, but yes, he is, Jake Gosling and Jennison Myrie Williams. So, interesting to see, and I know it might sound odd, Richard, to say that it's interesting to see us have an unchanged team, but there were a couple of decisions to be made, one of which was in goal, where some fans feel, especially after the first Barrow goal, which Chris Dunn spilled, that maybe Christian Dibbles earned a chance to get his start for a while.
Yeah, I suppose the debate will rage on with that one. The sort of Dibble-Dunn scenario is one that I think a lot of fans have pondered on for quite a long time, actually. Yeah. And you know, obviously I know Dunn was originally the goalkeeping coach, and suddenly over time has become the goalkeeper. Yeah, it's a difficult one, and you know, it's an easy thing for the fans, I guess, and for all of us to query when, if you give away an easy goal or a sloppy goal, you know, is that really the moment when you should give the other man a chance? It's, you know, by the same token, Wrexham are last game, if you take the last game out of it, they're actually quite a hard team to score against. They don't let in a lot of goals, and obviously Dunn's got to take some credit for that. And it's difficult if you are a miserly team. How do you justify changing the goalkeeper?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I, you know, in the lead up to this game, I was trying to think this through and looking at it not from a fan's point of view, because fans get frustrated, they see an error, they want to have it punished, but from a manager's point of view, managers have to handle the group as a group of human beings, if you like. And well, after the Orient game, where Dunn was blamed for a cross going over him, some fans called for his head. I certainly didn't think he should make that change then. The Macclesfield game, he spilled a shot which led to a goal. Okay. And then there's 2 errors that have led to goals, and maybe the manager thinks about it a bit more carefully there. I still thought he wouldn't make the change at that point, because Dunn very much came into the season as first choice and Dibble as the backup. The 3rd error last week, though, must have put the thought into his head. But like I said, to go back to what I said at the start, I was trying to put myself in the manager's shoes, and as a manager, I had a feeling he would stick with this. But then Dunn does need a solid little run of games here just to completely restore confidence.
Yeah, he does. And you do, I guess, what you've alluded to is that, you know, even if you're the manager, you do get to the point where you think, how much benefit of the doubt do I give before I actually make a change? I think he's definitely, you know, if he hasn't been told, he would have thought to himself that he's probably on warning this week. And, you know, Torquay have only scored 2 out of their last 5 league games, and they were both 1-1 draws. He'd be mightily disappointed and probably fearful of his place if he let a goal in today. You know, yeah, I know if the opposition scores, you can always blame it on the goalie, because ultimately he's the last man standing there. But it's a difficult one.
It certainly is. The other big call, of course, is Akil Wright's now signed his permanent deal, and he's staying with the club until, well, 2.5 more years in his contract now.
Yeah.
It's a real statement of commitment by the club in him.
Well, I was going to ask you, when was the last time that you can remember we signed a player for more than 12, 18 months? It's a long time ago.
How long's Leo Smith's contract? But he was signed before the end of the season, so I'm not sure if it's 2 years in total. So 2.5. So
okay. So
yeah, but having said that, it's the same sort of young, promising player that they've got faith in, that they know well.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting point you're raising there, though, isn't it? We've gone through a few different cycles in how we've awarded contracts. We've gone from now careful I don't say anything I shouldn't. Owners who have backed managers more than they probably ought to have done.
Okay.
And players getting long contracts which were then stuck in.
Yeah.
To then a sort of reverse where everyone's on 1 year contracts, which as far as we understand was more of a Gary Mills policy than a board level policy.
Yeah.
And now we're going around to a good symbiotic relationship between manager and board, where the board Keats has been able to clear out players because they're on short-term contract, and then they've been able to, the board can show faith in his judgment in proven players, because to be fair, Smith had shown what he could do already, Wright has shown what he can do already.
Now, I've got a theory about this 12-month cycle of a contract, though, because I think it's endemic of the conference.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically all hinged upon teams mortgaging the house for 12 months on promotion and having a clear-out when they don't get there.
I think that's
having a clear-out when they do get there as well, and keeping the ones they want. But they're always searching for that sort of silver bullet season by season. But as a result of that, you see a merry-go-round of players, and you can't go to a football club in this league that we haven't got an ex-player playing against us. I mean, it's the same. I think it's the same of all these clubs, and they're all searching for that magic 15-man squad to get them up. And when it doesn't work, they either can't afford to keep the good players, or they get rid of the ones that they think, oh, you didn't get us up.
I can't totally agree with you. I cannot fault your logic for a second, but I would also argue that there are squads without ex-Wrexham players in them, because the roster that Gary Mills was signing, they dropped down to lower levels very, very swiftly, I can assure you.
But you get my general
I think your logic, however, is impeccable.
But I think there's a second reason for that as well, and I think it is financial. Because these clubs can't commit, and we're the same. We're one of these clubs. We can't commit to tying players down into a decent contract. And to be honest with you, I think managers are scared to nowadays as well, at this level.
The other element, to say financially, is that the norm here is that you don't get a 1 year contract, you get a 10-month contract, you're not paid over the summer.
Yeah.
So in order to buy a player on more than a 1-season contract, you're committing to extra expenditure, whereas if you commit on a 1 year at a time basis, you release a lad and you've saved the 2 months' wage. But on the other hand, as Keats has done when bringing Pearson and Manny Smith on a 2 year contract, if you've got quality, you need to tie them down so they don't leave.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
The key thing.
And I think, even at this stage, you can confidently say that Dean has been much more astute than his predecessor.
And the starting point, no question. And the starting point of all that is that Akil Wright, having given the contract, actually hasn't got the start today, which is understandable, because Keats is fitting his 3 available fit strikers into his starting lineup and putting Kelly in the centre of midfield in what is a much more attacking looking lineup. And against Barrow, if we put aside the fact that we squandered the 3 points, that was the most attacking we've looked, and the first time he scored 3 goals all season. And I think he's right to persevere with that level of creativity. So I
do, and I think he's also right to have the long view about Akil as well.
Absolutely,
and I've signed him to 2.5 years. I'm going to throw him back into the side to make a statement. No, he's actually stronger manager than that, and he can see the long view, and he's probably thinking exactly what you said, that we had a good attacking force against Barrow. We were, it wasn't their fault that we didn't win, because they did everything to win the game. Yeah,
we had goals looking in us, didn't we? So
and Wright's going to be here for 2.5 years. He's got plenty of time to prove himself.
Exactly.
Well, I say 2.5 years because if he's any good, you know what will happen. Because my next point was going to be, there's, the flip side to these 12-month contracts is we really want people to get signed for longer, but do they actually mean anything? Contracts nowadays.
True enough. Well,
that's a debate for another day.
Indeed. Let's have a think more about today then, and have a look at what Andy Davis, the assistant manager, had to say. We caught up with him, Harry Wright and the media team had a chat to Andy before the match kicked off.
I'm Chris Holroyd, following Wrexham AFC on Calon FM. So, Andy, what are your thoughts before the game?
Yeah, an important game for us. Obviously, we're coming into a 2-week break after today's game, so it's important. We're at home, an opportunity to go and get 3 points. That's what we're aiming for.
And you managed to score 3 goals last time out, the first time this season. You can do that again today?
Yeah, that's the aim. Obviously, the most important thing for us is to go and win a game of football, whether that's scoring 3 goals or 1 goal. But obviously, if you can get the more goals and get a bit of a cushion there, great. If not, like I say, it's getting 3 points and 1-0 would do us.
And Dover level with us, I think, at the moment, play, I think it's Aldershot today, who are just above us, so if results go the right way, we can move up to third.
Yeah, look, all we can do is take care of ourselves. We can't sort of worry about other teams and their results. If we take care of ourselves and get our result, right, then, way. So it's about our result today and getting the positive result, and then hopefully results go our way elsewhere.
I'm Scott Bowden, follow Wrexham AFC on Calon FM.
So Andy Davis, positive looking forwards, but also rightly saying that we mustn't be distracted by what happens in other places in the league, because the key thing for Wrexham is just to keep getting their own results right. And that's absolutely right, isn't it, Richard? Because, we've got a situation where the gap has opened between us and Macclesfield now, but we can't afford to be distracted and put pressure on ourselves by that. You just got to keep your heads down and keep grinding out results.
Yeah, exactly. It's got absolutely nothing to do with what anybody else does. You just need to take care of your own results and put pressure on the other teams by doing that. So many seasons in the past, we've ended up with games in hand where we could have potentially got into the playoff zone, and it never happens because these games in hand have got to be won, and you're putting yourself under pressure. This year, we've played the games. We've got the points so far, and we just need to carrying on, to be honest. Yes, it's frustrating that we, dropping 2 points here and there when you think, well, we could have won it. I'm sandwiched. But ultimately, yeah, if you're not losing, just carry on.
Absolutely, to keep grinding those results out, as the teams, as you will have heard from the crowd, are now out on the pitch. Wrexham in their home shirts, red shirts, white shorts and white socks. Torquay in what looks suspiciously like an Arsenal away kit, yellow shirts, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks. Let's go through the team once more. So Wrexham with an unchanged side from the one which played Barrow from the last match. There's Chris Dunn in goal, Kevin Roberts at right back, left back James Jennings, Manny Smith and Sean Pearson, the central defenders. In midfield, Sam Wedgbury and Marcus Kelly, the central midfielders. Chris Holroyd on the left, Paul Rutherford on the right, and up front George Miller and Scott Bowden. The subs for Wrexham are Dibble, Hurst, McCreth, Carrington and Wright. And as for Torquay, we think we'll line up with 3 at the back. There should be Vincent Dorel in goal. The central defenders George Dowling, Sean McGinty and Axel Oscar Anderson. The wing backs Michi Effett and Liam Davis. In midfield, Lafrock, Young and O'Sullivan, and up front Fletcher and Reid. Fletcher and O'Sullivan both making their debuts for Torquay, who lost a couple of players in midweek. I've brought a couple in, and as I said in the introduction, are casting around looking for formations that will work, looking for combinations of players that will work, looking for personnel that will work. They remain stranded at the moment at the bottom of the league, and this is a game that Wrexham really need to cash in on. The subs for Torquay are Ryan Clark, John Paul Pittman, Rory Keating, Jake Gosling and Jennison Myrie Williams. There's a weird gloomy look around the racecourse today, dark clouds hanging low over the ground. The floodlights are on it. The pitch doesn't look quite as bright as normal. There's leaving the pitch at the moment. Representatives of Magdeburg are really stirring up the Wrexham fans. It's brilliant. Magdeburg, who Wrexham played in the European Cup Winners' Cup here in 1979. I have to confess, I'm old enough to say I was there, and they've come to see us. Loads of them packed out the Centenary Club and made a great atmosphere downstairs before the game. They've come to visit their old opponents and see how we go as we're about to kick off Wrexham against Torquay United live here on Calon FM.
I'm Sam Wedgbury, follow Wrexham AFC on Calon FM.
And so Wrexham are going to be kicking towards the top of the the first half. Paul Rutherford stands on the ball, and we are underway. Long ball by Wedgbury, launch out of play. James just pointed out one change to my theoretical lineup is that the right-sided centre-back and the right wing-back, FS and George Dowling have switched over. Here's Dowling taking the throw into midfield. Jennings nods it down. It's bobbling around in the middle of the pitch. Wrexham working forwards again. Holroyd seems to be climbing, nothing given. And Dowling has got time to drill the ball off Kelly for the throw-in. Nice to see Rich, the Magdeburg fan, winding the fans up, and it'd be good to get on the front foot now and give our German guests something to enjoy.
Absolutely. I got a funny story, actually. I bumped into my dad before the game, and he'd been speaking to the Magdeburg fans in the Cent, and he said the same as you. I'm old enough to remember that game, and the Magdeburg fan said to him, "Did you play?"
Oh, well, I certainly didn't.
He said, "I couldn't even lie to a German."
Rutherford gives the ball away, and it's knocked over the top of the Wrexham defence by Lathrop, headed clear. Oh, Wedgbury's caught by Luke Young. Referee says not. Play continues. Under hit past that in midfield by O'Sullivan, but it's dribbled its way through to Dowling. It gives it away sloppily. Good cover by Kelly. Holroyd now in his own half, filter backwards. James Jennings stands it up down the second hole. Bowden jumps. It goes beyond him, but it drops awkwardly in the box, and Miller's nicked the ball off McGinty and pulled it back to Bowden, who couldn't quite keep it in. That's frustrating, isn't it? Really, Miller?
Yeah, Miller just left Bowden a little bit short there. He'd done all the hard work in nicking the ball, and then just didn't flick it back to Bowden in the right area, and Bowden was left stretching and just couldn't keep the ball in.
And we can get in touch with us on the hashtag AskWrexham, ASKWXM on Twitter. If you want to ask us how the game's going, as the ball bobbles around in the middle of the pitch. Good foot in by Wedgbury. Rutherford does well too. In the end, Young has it, and for the second time in the game, looks for an expansive switch over to the left-hand side, looking for Davis, the left wing-back, well covered by Wedgbury, who blocks his pass. Spins into midfield. O'Sullivan back to Lathrop. And Wrexham are pressing hard in the middle of the pitch, denying Torquay space. It's fed inside to O'Sullivan. That's a clever switch over to the right-hand side. Dowling brings it down, brings it into the box, but his touch is heavy, and Jennings nicks it away from him. Poor clearance by him, though. And here's Luke Young squaring it on. O'Sullivan stands a hideous ball into the box, which not only is not within 20 yards of a teammate, but doesn't even bounce on the pitch before being caught by a ball boy. Goal kick to Wrexham, and Wrexham will hope that level of delivery into the box is what Torquay are going to offer today, I think.
Yeah, Torquay look like a team low in confidence already, and look very unsure of themselves when they're trying to pass the ball around, but just either haven't got the ability or just, as I said, low in confidence.
Long ball by Robertson, as edgy defending by Torquay. It was bouncing harmlessly through to the keeper, but McGinty, the skipper, nonetheless still hooked it away from him, and now Torquay are having to clear their lines again. Roberts knocks it back in towards the edge area. It's cleared, knocked down cleverly by Reid. Now then, here's danger as Fletcher, the debutant striker who scored a lot of goals in junior level football for Plymouth, picks her up, works to the right hand side. Dowling, the right back, is getting forwards again, swings across in. Kelly heads it away comfortably, but it'll come in once more as it's picked up and fed forwards neatly by Lathrop. The cross comes in once more, and but stands firm at the far post, beats Reid to it and clears. Helped on further by Bowden, but once more Torquay have it with Davis, who plays a cute little ball into the hole. Wrexham swarm around O'Sullivan, forcing the play back into midfield, where two centre-backs get in each other's way rather, and are slightly lucky to evade Miller. It drops to Affet, who works it over to the right-hand side. Dowling, 30 yards out, taking on Holroyd. Holroyd halts him, so he squares it inside. Lathrop back to the halfway line. McGinty has an overlap. He swings it over the top, looking for Davis. It's overhit. Davis has done really well to keep it in, though, by the corner flag. Crossing chance. Roberts has got tight to him, but he can't stop the cross coming in. Manny Smith heads it away at the near post. Now, could Wedgbury start something? Torquay getting some nice overloads already on the flanks with the wing backs high up the pitch. It's not the best clearance by Wrexham either, and it'll come back in again. Davis, the left wing back, picks it up 25 yards out. His counterpart is similarly high at the pitch on the other side as Reid tries a malicious shot, which forces Dunn into a save low to his right. He spilled it and grabbed it at the second attempt, but positive play by Torquay.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion at the moment, I think we're probably giving them a little bit too much respect and not getting at them enough. They obviously trying to play the ball around, which is commendable, but I think we need a little bit more fire in our bellies here.
Here's Torquay in their own half, and again have done well. Dowling feeding it to Young. Young has to go back to the edge of his area. Poor ball. Miller charges down the clearance. He's unlucky. It spins to McGinty. McGinty dinks a ball towards the halfway line. Dowling, has he kept it in? Yeah, he's done well. Holroyd tries to tackle him and then pulls him to the ground. Went down a bit easily, but the ref gives the free kick on the halfway line. And yeah, Torquay got the extra man in midfield. They're moving it around well. They're getting out to the flanks well. They made a decent start, haven't they?
They have. And after their initial sort of sloppiness at the start with their passing, they have actually quite quickly addressed that. And they're obviously the team that are putting pressure on us at the moment rather than the other way around.
Tremendous noise coming from the Magdeburg fans who are all chanting for Wrexham. As Torquay give the ball away now, the players inspired by that. Rutherford feeds it over the top, looking for the pace of Mel, and McGinty will just get there first. Pokes her out of play. McGinty, we've seen in previous games against Torquay, is not the quickest centre-back. Wrexham would love to get Miller isolated against him. But I tell you what, the Wrexham fans are making noise and the Magdeburg fans are making noise. This is nice.
This is almost like watching the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Great sound from them.
It's almost like listening to the Bundesliga, not almost like watching it.
Sorry, yes. Massive error in the judgment there.
Roberts throws it in. Bowden forced away from goal, pops into midfield. Kelly, good awareness, pops her off first time. Jennings out left-hand side, swings it in towards the edge of the area, headed away comfortably though, and picked up by Young. That's a great ball round the corner. O'Sullivan breaking forwards. 3-on-3 break here as he works a good ball to the right-hand side. Reid has got a man attacking the far post. He tries a shot instead, which is blocked for the corner. He should have crossed that rather than shot, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There were multiple opportunities there, and I think he was probably a little bit guilty of going for the glory. Well, but he's won a corner for them anyway.
There was not a promising shooting position that outside the box, down the right channel. As Fletcher attacking the far post, and he should have ripped it in for him surely. Now Luke Young has good quality from set pieces, and he will swing an away swinger in from the right hand side. Reid is standing on Dunn. Lots of bodies attacking the 6-yard box as Young sweeps it into the edge of the 6-yard box. A great header away by Pearson. Drops the Reid. His shot is deflected. It's driven in. Superb save by Dunn. Well, big call to pick Dunn today, and that was an excellent stop. It span loose to McGinty. 6 yards out. He hit it on the turn like a rocket, and Dunn palmed it over the bar. Great save.
Yeah, it was great instinctive save because I think he saw that late as well. Definitely, he swung on his right peg and turned on it and let it rip, and Dunn must have seen that late, so it was a great save.
Really good save that, but it's another corner from the left-hand side, swept in right-footed to the near post. Dunn's coming, but it's headed away anyway before it reaches him. Drops on the edge of the box. Again, Torquay first or second ball, but it's smashed clear. And now Miller is chasing that. Effect will get there first and heads it awkwardly out for a throw. An early throw's on here. Holroyd's running marks in the box. Miller didn't spot it soon enough, so Holroyd's off himself short and receives. He's got no one in the area to cross it to. Miller's out in the flank with him, so Holroyd hits the corner flag. Swings a great ball in. Brilliant header by Effect. Rutherford hits it. It's deflected over. Great chance that for Rutherford. It just wouldn't come down off his thigh quickly enough. If you're there first time, there'd be no chance for the defender to get across, but that was close.
Yeah, first chance for Wrexham there, and immediately the danger was apparent. And if that was anything to go by, hopefully it's just going to be a matter of time.
So, corner, right-hand side. The Magdeburg fans making noise as Kelly swings it in. Holroyd's lost his man, and he heads it in! And Wrexham score! Great delivery by Kelly, but you can see the run on the edge of the area. Holroyd lost his man immediately. He was completely on his own. 3 headers, 6 yards out, and in the 9th minute, Wrexham give the Germans what they were waiting for. Wrexham 1. Torquay United 0.
Oh, that was great effort there from Holroyd, losing his man and just running onto the ball and giving it a lovely flick sideways and just redirecting it past the keeper. Keeper, in fairness, had no chance of that one. Couldn't have seen Holroyd coming, and literally second chance of Wrexham have got, and it's 1-0. Brilliant stuff.
Well, can the Magdeburg fans come every week? They seem to be bringing us our good fortune here. It's Wrexham can't argue with that. So 1-0 up, Holroyd, and have Torquay done their scouting, because that was pretty much the same as Holroyd's goal against Barrow in our last home game. Near post corner, flick header, completely lost his marker much too easily, and Torquay are coming forwards. Manny Smith breaks that up though and dinks it now towards the edge of towards the halfway line, beg your pardon. Miller can't get to it, and now Torquay will look to break. It's charged down though well by Wedgbury, whose clearance from the corner started off the breakaway, which led to the Wrexham corner that Wrexham scored from. That's done. Let's not forget, excellent save a minute before the goal kept Wrexham level. Long clearance by Dunn. Bowden chests it beautifully down. That and Holroyd in the hole. It's a shot from the halfway line and doesn't quite get enough on it. Cheeky. Keeper scrambled across to his left and held on to it, but that's a shot of a confident man.
Well, the Torquay goalkeeper is all in salmon pink today, and he looked like a salmon out of water then, like the ball was going to slip right over him, but didn't quite get enough on it, but you could see what he was intending. Kelly
does well to win it on the edge of his own area, and Miller flicks it nicely around the corner. Rutherford picks it up on the right. Wrexham is surging forwards here. Picks up a return ball, does Miller, right-hand side. Boulders in the box, he drives in across, blocked for a throw-in. Wrexham put their foot on Torquay's throats here. 11th minute on Calon FM, and Wrexham carved out 3 chances in the space of 3 minutes, one of which went in. This is good stuff. Now they need, unlike against Barrow, to capitalise on their fast start. Roberts with a throw-in 10 yards out. Rutherford offers, so does Bowden. Rutherford receives by the corner flag, backs into his man and turns it around the corner. Look at Roberts, it gets beyond him, but it ricochets just out of his reach and is smashed firmly clear into the Wrexham half. Wrexham win it back well though. Manny Smith again looking very solid. Now Wrexham try to play out from the back, and Luke Young puts Jennings under pressure. He feeds in Pearce on the edge of the box. Torquay are pressing really hard to try and claim it back. Jennings' clearance is blocked. Kelly quickly to the loose ball. Kelly's done well a few times there, I think, hasn't he? Doing the dirty job, winning 50-50s in midfield.
Yeah, on a day like today, it's going to be a bit of a dirty game in the middle of the field where he's going to have to clear up a lot of scraps, and it's an important role actually to maintain the dominance in the midfield. So Kelly started well.
Well, there have been question marks, of course, about whether Kelly should be used in a central position or not, and those question marks revolve around whether he's physical enough to select ahead of Wright or Carrington to partner Wedgbury. But when he's played in the centre of the pitch, quite frankly, that's not been an issue. The throw-in's taken back to Pearson, deep in his own half. Pearson can take his time wandering up the pitch, switches to Roberts on the halfway line, right-hand side, who skins his man beautifully and goes surging inside, helps it on to Holroyd, but he's put that in behind the striker. And Torquay have it again. They feed it into midfield. They have that extra man. But not for long, because Roberts stayed in the centre position and charged down the ball forwards. It's picked up by Affett, and he drives it over the top of Wrexham's defence. Pearson seemed to be fouled in the end. Nothing given, and this is dangerous. Fletcher breaks into the right side of the box, pulls it across the face of goal, just ahead of his teammate. It's gone behind for a corner. Dangerous moment there. I thought Pearson was fouled, to be honest. But
yeah, and it was a crucial intervention there, because all of a sudden the ball was free on the right, came across a gaping open goal, and but for the fact that the Torquay attacker just couldn't get onto it, that was a bit of a hairy moment.
It was indeed. He got beyond Pearson and pulled it into the goal mouth, just ahead of his on-rushing support and the read, and it was put behind for the corner, but that was a dangerous movement. Here comes the corner then from the left-hand side. Dunn takes that easily in the 6-yard box to ironic cheers from the Wrexham fans, and an early throw by him. Look at him, Miller. Good strength by Affett to win it back, and now Affett's gone galloping forwards, gets to the edge of the area down the left-hand side, and then decides to lay it off. Long-range shot is pulled horribly by O'Sullivan and goes a long way wide of Dunn's goal. But a good positive work by Dunn. That'll do his confidence no harm, and good to see him looking to use the ball positively, even if it didn't work out.
Yeah, definitely, and we just got to be probably just a little bit more measured, and it's a difficult one, isn't it, between being aggressive and being over. But no, I think I think you're right. I think in general it was a positive move by him. I'd be a little bit concerned that he sold his man a little bit short, really, but.
Well, he opened up the possibility of a counter-attack, didn't he?
He did. But you immediately put yourself back under pressure again, don't you?
He had a chance to isolate Miller going forwards, so it was positive thinking. Didn't quite execute it right. Anyway, the goal kick's taken. It goes out for a throw to Torquay on the halfway line, dowling down the line. Reed immediately tackled. Good work by Jennings. He's under pressure now, Jennings, in his own half. Chips it down the line, looking for the pace of Miller. Affett doesn't take it on the full, so he has an awkward header, which he puts out for a throw to Wrexham, level the edge of the Torquay area, left-hand side. James Jennings will take it. He looks for movement. Holroyd is offering and receives, cushions it cutely back to Jennings, crossing chance, and he takes it, swings it to the far post, beyond Bowden, headed away well, though, by Anderson. Rutherford wants to keep this in, and he does. 20 yards out on the right flank, pulls it into midfield. Wedgbury has got Young holding him up, so he plays it back to Kelly. Kelly Awkwardly on his right foot. Oh, shovels a neat little ball around the corner, actually, to Rutherford, who brings a snappy return pass. Now Kelly back in his favoured left, can switch to Jennings. Wrexham just trying to make the pitch wider. Pearson over the top. That's good run by Holroyd, who brings it down, but he had the body language of a man who felt he was offside. He didn't run after it with a great deal of alacrity, and he was right. The flag goes up against him.
Yeah, he was definitely a couple of yards early there, and I think he was actually waiting for the linesman's flag to go up. Rather than playing to the whistle of the flag. I think he almost gave it up himself.
Good question coming in on hashtag Ask Wrexham from Mark Barnes. Has there been a game this season where we've achieved both defensive stability and created plenty of chances? How should Keats change the team and or tactics to achieve this? We'll come back to the second part in a minute, because that's a good one. I think I can answer the first part pretty quickly. No, I don't think we've achieved both, because there have been very few games where we've opened up the side and had lots of chances. In the Barrow game last match was the one time we really have looked like a side full of goals, as Wedgbury is caught 50-50 in the halfway line, but he was clattered into by O'Sullivan. Referee doesn't seem too interested in talking to O'Sullivan, but Wedgbury may need treatment. He's stayed down for the moment. No, he's not going to need treatment. He'll get up okay. It was more of a collision. The talking man was late. There's nothing too malicious. Oh, maybe there was. The referee is calling him across. Beg your pardon, it wasn't. It was Anderson, the centre-back, is it? He's going to get a talking to. It's just a talking to. Free kick to Wrexham on the halfway line. Wedgbury is showing his thigh to the referee. I don't think it was that high. More of a collision. So Roberts will take it. The Magdeburg fans again, just making some pre-set piece noise. That's floated in towards the edge of the area. Manny Smith nods it down nicely. And his lunging header partly away by Anderson. Miller on the right side, just about keeps it in, pulls it back. There's space in the corner box for Rutherford, who swings it across, and it's just about headed away by McGinty. Torquay defending at full extension here. They smash it away in the end to the halfway line where Jennings miscues and launches it up in the air. Marcus Kelly can't get to it, but Torquay have failed to tame it, and Dowling with a hideous touch gives it straight to Kelly. Under pressure, Kelly back to Jennings. Neat ball to Holroyd. He cheeks it well and dinks it over the top. Look at the ball. That's a delicious ball. Bowden left side of the box has got runners. He finds Jennings. Can't quite set the first time shot up. He has a shot with his second touch, but it's blocked. Now Fess will bring it up and slam it over the top. Something for Reed to chase after. Manny Smith is there, but Reed's just got there first. Reed isolated down the left-hand side. Waits for support. He gets it in Davis. Davis 30 yards out. Squares it on. Good open field to this game. It's picked up again by Reed, left-hand side. He's helped it in towards the edge of the area. It's deflected, though, kindly to Manny Smith, and Rutherford deep in his own half feeds it forwards. Miller gets across, can't keep that in. Through to Torquay on the halfway line, left-hand side, which is taken quickly. Just want to go back to Mark Barnes' question. The ball switched over to the right-hand side. Dowling is there, 25 yards out. Again, it's the Magdeburg fans making the noise over in the Cop end of the Ale stand, or B Concept stand, beg your pardon. It's Effett coming forwards, works it out wide. Crossing chance, perhaps, fed into Effett instead, who pops it off. And a good little burst of pace by O'Sullivan. Stands across to the far post, which is too strong, and Roberts will chase it out to the flank and complete the clearance. That's our chance as it goes out for throw-in. How should Keats change the team and or his tactics to achieve the balance between attack and defence? And tricky question.
I think, to be fair to Dean, so far this season, Wrexham are known as quite a hard team to score against. So I think this season, more than any of the last few that I can remember, we've got a better defence. He just needs a goal scorer, like a week in, week out goal scorer.
Ooh, Wrexham is sloppy on the edge of the area there, giving it away. Holroyd's done really well to nip it away. That was dangerous. Robert squared it. Kelly wasn't on the same wavelength, and for a second we were in real trouble, except Holroyd was alert and ran from the blind side and nicked it away from O'Sullivan, but we could have been in trouble. Dowling swings it back into the far post. Pearson heads it away. Bowden backs into his man. It drops loose over to the left-hand side. It's picked up by Davis. He stands up towards the penalty spot. Pearson is there. Heads it clear, but Wrexham midfield is deep, and it'll come back in once more. Dowling squares it on. O'Sullivan pokes it to the edge of the area. Reed tries a cute little turn. Roberts did really well. Kept touch tight to him and slashes out for another throw in 30 yards out. Good spell of pressure by Torquay. I think this might be a good half-time discussion point as well, as Torquay take the throw quickly and break down the left-hand side. That's a poor ball in. Wedgbury intercepts. It's come back again to Anderson, the centre-back, who's got a long way forwards. Good tackle by Wedgbury. Now then, Rutherford can break. The two strikers are making runs for him. Feeds it looking for Bowden. It's just beyond his reach. McGinty gets there first and puts it out of play. McGinty is not a subtle centre-back. If you turn him, he will put it out for a throw. There's no attempt whatsoever to try and get fancy and do anything but that. Which is sensible to acknowledge your limitations. But it does mean any little dink over the top. McGinty's giving us a throw high up the pitch. Roberts with the ball in his hands, 25 yards out. 20th minute here on Calon FM. Wrexham lead 1-0 against Torquay United. Throw taken to Rutherford, who brings it down the corner of the pitch. Can't quite keep possession. Roberts snaps in well and wins a throw-in. Again, level the edge of the box. It's good movement on the corner of the box by Bowden, who eventually finds the space to receive the ball. And now he's looking for options. There aren't many options for him, and he plays the ball to Kelly. The midfielder has to be very quick to nip in and retain possession. Wrexham are forced back to the halfway line by some aggressive pressing by Torquay, who have worked very hard when they haven't had the ball. But Wrexham have done pretty well outmanoeuvring that press thus far. Jennings on the halfway line squares it into Kelly, who takes a confident touch in his left foot. Doesn't like what's ahead of him. Plays a ball to Pearson, which gives the skipper no option but to go back to Dunn. Dunn hits it long. Bowden backing in. McGinty heads it clear, but Holroyd is central. Brings it down, does well to hold off two men and carry it forwards. Finds Rutherford in space on the right. Roberts is overlapping. Holroyd goes down off the ball. Referee's not interested as Holroyd looks pleadingly to him. Roberts, 25 yards out, feeds it to Holroyd, edge of the area. Backing in, switches across to the right-hand side. Rutherford now has got the full-back isolated. Davis, he goes inside and outside and beats him. Good play by Rutherford. It's a left-footed shot and puts it too high. But good positive play by Rutherford.
Yes, I think it was. He worked hard to get that ball into the box. I felt he was caught between a floating cross and a shot there that was neither. It drifted sort of high and left of the goalie's stick, and I was just disappointed because he'd done all the hard work in turning his man inside and out to get into the box there. But there we go.
Not one of life's goal scorers, is he? Bless him. And he's definitely going for the top corner, just couldn't keep it down with his left foot. The goal kick's taken and Wrexham knock it long, give it straight back to Torquay. Effet stands it up down the left flank. Fletcher, did he use his hand to control it? Well, he couldn't keep it anyway. Throwing goes Wrexham's way, about 25-30 yards out from their own goal. Jennings will take it. Jennings back to Pearson, who stabs at Baz. Was sweaty, so lucky there. He tried to switch it to Roberts. He hit it under Reed, the striker's foot, but it did carry to Roberts, who on the halfway line squares it on. Kelly in the centre circle has an overlap, and Jennings plays it back to Pearson instead. Pearson, as Miller's gesturing, dink it forwards for me. He does so, and Miller controls it, headed down to Bowden. Bowden controls it to his chest. Torquay shout for handball. It wasn't, and Bowden is tackled. Throw in to Wrexham, level the edge of the area, left-hand side. Jennings will take it. And, well, Wrexham not quite got the rhythm they had 10 minutes ago, but certainly good value for their lead. Holroyd's offering Bowden two. Holroyd chests it down to Jennings. Jennings has got a man tight on him. He wriggles away and does well to come central. He's got past Young, and it's a right-footed shot deflected behind for a free kick given. It would have been a corner anyway, but it was a late challenge on Jennings. Free kick about 25 yards out. Richard can whet your appetite for it, and then James will describe it going in the top corner.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, Jennings cut inside, and to my mind, was quite a speculative effort on goal when he did have options going into the box, but ultimately benefited from a little bit of a late tackle.
It'll be Rutherford right-footed to take it in. The players queue up at the 18-yard box as the ball comes in. Holroyd looks to get there, but is just beaten to it by Effet. And the referee judges that one to go out for a goal kick. Maybe Holroyd did get there ahead of him, but looked very much like the big centre-half managed to nip in.
I don't think Holroyd touched that, because there was too much on that ball for Holroyd to have headed it.
It looked like more of a defensive header, but you know, credit to the referee, he's closer than I am. Goal kick's taken, and it'll be Manny Smith to win his header, but it falls out wide to Dowling. He tries to get a cross in, but Jennings blocks it. Jennings seems to have brought his shooting boots today. He's had a couple of efforts already. Obviously fresh off that goal from Monday. We'll have to settle for taking the throw-in on the halfway line here, as Andy Davis persuades the St John's ambulance man to throw the ball back. Jennings has gained 10 yards and gone into the Torquay half. However, the referee sent him back, and so the ball goes back to Pearson, back into play in the left-back position. He launched it down the left-hand channel. Miller's up. Gets a good flick on it, but Bowden's gone outside. Goes into a bit of a head tennis in midfield as Manny Smith misses his challenge. Torquay sent it out right to Dowling. Dowling cuts inside, but Kelly's quick to that. Sets Jennings free on the left, who's got room to run. Chooses to go long to Bowden. Great header by McGinty to get there, and this one has gone out for a corner. Good first-time ball from Jennings there, looking for the run of Bowden.
Yeah, good vision there, and it was just a little bit under hit. He was trying to just float it over the defender's head. Didn't quite reach it, but in the process, obviously forced him into the defensive action, which provided us with another corner. So, a bit of sustained pressure from Wrexham, not necessarily through our own doing in a lot of ways, but...
no, certainly not got to the races just yet.
No.
Rutherford takes it short. Bowden gives it him back. You get the angle. Jennings in the edge of the area takes first time over high on the left-hand side of the post. Definitely got his shooting boots, as I mentioned. That's
he fancies it today, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's getting a lot of space. Torquay are pressing well with the front two and their midfield, and that is creating a lot of width outside for Wrexham to push on with the fullbacks. And their defence looks a little shaky. They're not too confident in their goalkeeper. They're tending to deal with things, I think, Rich.
Yeah, definitely. Jennings was... I like that from Jennings, because the ball came across and he just tried to flick it round the corner, really.
Manny Smith wins a header. Holroyd gets a cute little touch, but just beaten to it by the Torquay player. They set it and look for Reed down the channel. Pearson strong again with the header, and he puts it out for a throw into Torquay. 20 yards out. Maybe Dowling over to take it. To Reed, gets it back. No real option, so goes for the cross. Aimed for Fletcher, but sails harmlessly wide, and Roberts can break with it now. Under pressure from O'Sullivan, but meets him and Miller being in the air by McGinty. Kelly gets a header though. Bowden should hold this up against Affetti. Does so and finds Jennings. Jennings immediately closed, but managed to launch one for Miller to run against McGinty. McGinty gets there first and is under pressure. Great play by Miller, who forces the error and almost breaks it. McGinty gets his toe there and Dowling can break it away. Good play by Miller. He's not got the goal yet in this loan spell, but he's looked a promising all-round striker.
Yeah, he's lively, isn't he, George Miller?
Creates a lot for his team. Back with Roberts to Rutherford on the halfway line. Roberts launches it long, and Anderson gets his head there to stop the ball coming through to Bowden. Rutherford quickly onto it. Gets it to Bowden. Bowden thinks about turning, but lays off to Roberts, who heavy touch there, and Anderson can clear away. Poor touch and a great challenge by Wedgbury. Gets an important block in, and Bowden plays a 1-2 with Holroyd. Gets it back. It's another 1-2. Spreads it out wide to Roberts. Roberts will cross this time. Does so. Bowden gets a little touch with the back heel trying to find Miller, but doesn't quite come off as Manny Smith heads the cleared ball from Torquay. Torquay happy to play head tennis, and Manny Smith will win that against Reed again. Overhead kick from Davis, trying to clear for Bowden on the turn of the spin. Chests it down, turns and hits not a bad effort over the bar.
Yeah, that was something out of nothing, really. The ball got sort of chested towards him, and he decided he was just going to try and turn on it and catch the goalie by surprise.
It's nice to see Bowden getting shots in now. It's one thing you could be critical of. I think his all-round play of holding up and he's quite a clever player in trying to link the headers, and he's got a partner now in George Miller that can see those runs. Holroyd as well, playing off this wing stroke number 10 role, but he's got the confidence to actually have a go now, Bowden.
Yeah, because he's not what I'd call a natural goal scorer. I think, like you say, I think he sets a lot up and he holds the ball up well. But somebody in his position, you're going to be looking to him for a few goals a season, and he's going to need to sort of do them probably at the crucial times as well.
As Roberts releases Rutherford over on the Mould Road side, but can't keep it in, and it'll be a throw into Torquay, level with their own 18-yard box. 1-0 to Wrexham in the 29th minute. Listening on Calon FM. Join us all season for coverage. The ball now played back in from Torquay, but launched aimlessly upfield, and it's just no. There's quite a bit of work from the players for Torquay, but there's no real production.
Yeah, you can. It sounds cruel to say you can see why they are where they are. They've got a product, but it's just far from finished. And a couple of bits of luck, one way or the other, and a couple of goals go in. But at the moment, they just don't look like that last final bit is there.
They look a quicker team and more physical team than they did last year that came to the racecourse. But
yeah, they're also playing in fairness to them, they're actually playing more football than they did when they came to the racecourse last year. They actually look like they come to play football.
As Dunn launches it to the halfway line, looking for Holroyd, but he's met in the air by Afete and headers it out for a throw into Wrexham on the halfway line. Dean Keats with his hand on his hips as the ball comes in. Back to Pearson. Pearson takes on Fletcher. Now launches it forward looking for Miller. Miller misses it, but so does Afete, and it lands at Bowden's feet. Bowden to Wedgbury. Wedgbury tries to spread it looking for Holroyd, but he's really fiercely fizzed that one. Holroyd gets a touch on it and then sized down by Dowling. Good play by Holroyd there. Wrexham didn't really deserve to keep that in as Wedgbury sizzed down at Holroyd.
Absolutely blasted that in Holroyd's direction. And if he hadn't done some sort of ballet movement and stuck his toe about 6 foot in the air to grab hold of the ball, it would have probably ended up in about the 8th row of the stand.
And the big man forward as Rutherford delivers it right-footed. Bowden gets a flick on near post. Manny Smith got in! It's a goal to Wrexham! Bowden with a flick on in the near post. Manny Smith nods it. Keeper gets it, but he's stumbling backwards and ends up taking it into his own net, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a goal was coming from that set piece. However, I feel extremely sorry in some way for the Torquay goalie, because he'd made the save and sort of slid in backwards with his hands, trying to keep the ball out of the net. And I thought for a second he convinced the third official and the referee that he'd managed to do it. But there seemed to be a consensus of opinion in the box from all the Wrexham players that persuaded the referee to stick his arm up. So
yeah, initially it looked like he kept the ball out, but the ball sort of stayed with him, and once the keeper was in the back of the net, they didn't really have an argument of it didn't cross the line, Governor.
No. He did try and throw it out as if he was throwing it out clearance style. Yeah, but by that point, I think the ref had seen enough.
Well, Manny Smith doubles Wrexham's lead. Can they go on and perhaps answer that question we had on Ask Wrexham in combined defence and attack for the first time this season? As O'Sullivan finds Reid. Reid on the edge of the 18-yard box, trying to make space for him for the shot. Gets it away. Dunn stays well low to his right. Routine, really, but he had to be aware.
Yeah, in fairness to Dunn, based on the first shot that he spilled, that was a good take, and he stayed down and held on to it and just stayed there for a couple of seconds to steady himself. But it was a good solid save.
Yeah, if I've been critical of Dunn, it's been his handling and his coming for crosses, but shot stopper he's one of the better ones I've seen recently. Afete battles with Miller and should win that battle, but Miller's done well. Bowden tries to flick it through to Holroyd, and Holroyd's a willing runner, but doesn't get through to him. Dowling back to Afete and clear up, looking for Reid and Fletcher to chase scraps. And that's very much how Torquay's game plan is. As Young spreads it now to Dowling, who's been a willing runner on this right-hand side so far. He's marked well by Jennings, who gets a good block in. Jennings gets a second block in now. Just won't fall for a Wrexham player. Reid nods it down. Looking for Young, but Wedgbury breaks up play and finds Rutherford. Rutherford cuts back and finds Wedgbury. A bit more patient from Wrexham. Kelly has made himself available and plays it to Jennings on the left-hand side. Jennings launches the ball down the channel looking for Miller. McGinty has to deal with it. Dowling plays a quick 1-2 pass in with Young. Rutherford closes down. Hard work again by him. Reid spreads it now out for Davis on this left-hand side, who can advance forward. He halts his progress though just inside the Wrexham half and goes back looking for Laythorpe. Laythorpe switches play nicely to Dowling. Holroyd's over there covering with Jennings. And here's Young with the ball into the box, and Roberts has to deal with that at the far post. Tricky one to deal with because Reid's coming in behind him at the far post and has to stick his leg out, and could have gone anywhere but does guide it out for the corner.
Yeah, good measured pressure from Torquay actually. Played the ball around nicely for the last couple of minutes. and they've exploited obviously the man over in midfield there, used the gaps that were appearing, and credit to them, they can certainly play the ball around. I just think it's that last end bit that's missing.
Young delivers a ball right-footed near post, and Wedgbury's there with a good powerful header, only finds the advancing Young. Young plays it back to Laythorpe. Laythorpe will launch it in this time. Flick on, Fletcher gets a touch, good save by Dunn as McGinty gets a right-footed volley. Ball fell to him across the box, luckily really to get it, and Dunn saves well to his left, diving one-handed. Quick throw in. Torquay now to O'Sullivan, tries to take on Kelly. He's got Kelly and Holroyd, goes back to Downing. Downing delivers first time, far post. Manny Smith's there strong, and Rutherford hopefully can break there if he can get on. He's under pressure and has to turn back. Sensibly does so, finds Wedgbury, a bit more time and space. Wedgbury though with a poor ball forward is easily cut out as Fletcher looks to get onto the scraps, and Manny Smith is there. Roberts launches it now, again inaccurate. Wrexham guilty of this a few times, and Miller wins a ball he shouldn't do again. Rutherford into Holroyd. Holroyd turns well. Back to Kelly. Kelly, quick ball to Jennings. But Jennings is closed quickly. Impeded there, and the referee's not having it as Jennings knocks it past his man and is blocked. He gets it back and tries to play it up the line. They'll go out for a throw into Torquay. Midway into their own half. And they're happy to play time as Dowling jogs back to take this. Yeah, Wrexham, I'm not really sure. They're not dominating this game. Torquay just lack perhaps the quality. They're not as big a side as you'd see in the conference strugglers tend to be. They are more of a footballing side, but they're just very much like us last year, just lacking quality.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you, James. I think they're definitely trying to play football.
Dowling left-footed, tries to play it, and Fletcher tries to outmuscle Manny Smith, but that's not going to happen. He allows it through to Dunn. Dunn bounces it a couple of times. Referee must be thinking about 6-second rule, and eventually Dunn drops it and launches it looking for Bowden. Bowden beaten in the air by Affetti as Affetti knocks it past. Bowden gets a good toe to it. Holroyd tries to release him, but McGinty is there and just put it out for a throw into Wrexham now on the halfway line. Wrexham with his 2-goal lead. Goals from top scorer Chris Holroyd and another one for defender Manny Smith. Jennings steals a few yards, looking for Miller, but Affetti is there. Wedgbury back to Jennings, who launches it long. McGinty's going to have to deal with this as he's closed by Miller again. Does so, turns him well. Only can find Kelly though, who finds Bowden. Back to Kelly, into Holroyd, chests it down, flicks it on, looking for Miller, but doesn't quite get there. Bowden's strong in the challenge, but doesn't win it. And O'Sullivan can clear off as Wedgbury meets the clearance and puts Torquay immediately back on pressure. McGinty with a backwards header, and Durrell, the goalkeeper, can restart play as Anderson brings it forward for Torquay as he strides towards the halfway line, closed by Rutherford. Beats Rutherford, decides not to take on Wedgbury and passes to Laythorpe. Laythorpe into O'Sullivan, that's a poor touch. Bowden gets the profit from it as he releases Rutherford on the right hand side. He's got 2 versus 3 here. Rutherford gets the 18-yard mark, cuts inside on his left, throws it to Holroyd. Holroyd strikes home, it's 3. Great play by Rutherford. Absolutely brilliant play by the winger, who runs through almost unchallenged, cuts onto the left side, plays it to Holroyd. Holroyd just has to side put it home. His second of the afternoon, Wrexham's third, and putting on a show for the German supporters.
Oh, that was beautiful play there. Just beautiful dribbling into the box, keeping control, and then just laying the ball off, and all that was needed was just a side foot in past the goalie. Torquay looked dejected at that point.
Yeah, it was a good goal. Rutherford cut inside earlier in a move that I suppose he tried to score the one like the Barrow second on Monday when he cut it and tried to curl it so far post. It didn't come off to him. That time, instead of going to the right-hand side, which is Rutherford's preferred option, he cut inside into his left foot, which Fox, the defender, gave him space. Holroyd had pulled off just on the penalty spot and slotted home lovely.
Yeah, when he turned onto his left instead, it just seemed to open up the whole box, didn't it?
Yeah, Rutherford's very much a right-footed player, but he works well, and he struggles to beat a man there, but he's just proved he can do it, and another assist for Rutherford this season.
Do you know what? Just before that goal went in and you said, Wrexham have got the 2-goal lead, I was going to say to you, and it doesn't feel a secure 2-goal lead.
Well, hopefully it's a secure 3-goal lead, although this is the second time we've scored 3 goals this season. As Torquay get the cross in, and Jennings clears, but it's only going to go as far as Young. Young holds it up under pressure, finds Laythorpe.
I guess this is our first time for 3 goals in a half, in the first half.
Yeah, it will be as a shot comes in, but it's wide from O'Sullivan to the right-hand post of Dunn's goal. Yes, Wrexham scored 3 goals for the first time this season on Monday, and done it, backed it up this time, but yeah, obviously we conceded 3 on Monday. Hopefully we can keep a clean sheet and secure 3 points, which I wouldn't say is expected. You can't expect to win any game of football, but when you're playing the bottom team at home and you get an early lead like we do, you really, really hope you can push on and take it.
Yeah, definitely. There's more goals in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Dunn launches it up. And a goal kick. McGinty's there with a strong header. Pearson will equal to him with his header as Wedgbury flicks it on. Efete volleys it right-footed. And Pearson tangles with Reed. Looks to have come off Reed, and the assistant has given it that way, much to his frustration. It'll be a throw into Wrexham about midway in their own half. Jennings on this left-hand side in front of the Yale will take it.
I think Gary Owens will just be desperate to get his team in at half-time in 6 minutes' time and try and reset this.
He will. Pearson launches it long, looking for Bowden, but McGinty's there. Brought down well by O'Sullivan on his chest. And he's having to go backwards looking for players. Efete, first time forward. Manny Smith is there as normal. Yeah, he sat in the stands when we were down at Torquay. He hadn't signed the contract and was just watching his team, and initially had that change of squad at Torquay, and the fortune results that new managers get, but not really got anywhere with it since. And Torquay struggled to get off that bottom spot as the throw-in comes from Torquay, level the 18-yard box, launched long by Fletcher. Pearson's there. Laythorpe gets the second ball and lets Downing run. Bowden tries to challenge him and he misses as Kelly gets it, but he rides that challenge as well. Still got the ball down in, turns another one and doesn't quite know where it is, and Wedgbury finally gets the challenge in. Kelly looks long, looking for Miller. Miller will want to get a goal today as he puts the afterburners on, but Efete, strong big chap there, and Miller, for a slight player, he's learned the physical side of this league very quickly and has done well there.
Yeah, good defence there by Fete, actually. Quite strong defending, holding his man off. But yeah, by the same token, Miller knows how to turn now and run his man. And you can see that's going to bear fruit for us as well. It's been lively in the first half.
Jennings then with the throw-in, level with the 18-yard box of Torquay in front of the Cop. Holroyd, first time balls, Bowden lays it off, looking for Miller. Anderson's there at the far post, now jumps in. Wedgbury gets it on the edge. It's got Kelly in support. Kelly's got room to shoot. Cuts inside and immediately shepherded by 3 Torquay players, but finds Wedgbury. Wedgbury back out to Rutherford. Rutherford, first time cross. Miller with a header. Loops easily over, and Durrell can claim that one, much to, I'm sure, his satisfaction after having 3 goals put past him already.
Been good value for money in the first half thing, James.
Yeah, he has. And former Wrexham goalkeeper Rhys Taylor has signed for Tranmere. As an interesting one. Just seen it on the news. It's a strange one, as he didn't want to relocate this direction initially with financial support, but obviously decided he quite likes this area of the country.
Maybe thinks he's got more of a chance of getting a game at Tranmere.
Perhaps. Wedgbury clears the header and finds Bowden. Bowden drops it down to Manny Smith. Wrexham trying to play out from their own box, but a little bit scrappy because Torquay is still pressing, and Reed's pressure concedes a throw-in. Here comes across from Torquay, and Pearson just gets underneath that header, but Holroyd there to clear it up. And they'll go all the way through to Roberts, who doesn't quite get it, and Laythorpe spreads it okay for O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan crosses it in, first time goes across the face of goal. 4 Wrexham defenders there. Luckily for Wrexham, no Torquay player decided to attack the goal as the ball went harmlessly running across the middle of the 6-yard box between defence and goalkeeper. until Roberts could just get a foot on it and put out for a corner.
Yeah, do you know what? I think we've been guilty, if we've been guilty of one thing in this first half, of playing ourselves into trouble a little bit defensively and not being decisive enough. And that was a classic example.
Swings in the corner, Fletcher at the near post, but Pearson gets it and takes a knock to the head for his troubles. Immediately hits the ground and Physio Phil runs on. The referee does stop play for a head injury. I don't think there's anything malicious in it. Both players jumping and using their arms as you would expect. But yeah, I think overall assessment of the half, it's not Wrexham's best game, but it's certainly Wrexham's best scoreline.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Dean will still have plenty to talk about at half-time, and a little bit of reorganising and sort of re-emphasising some points on his behalf.
Well, I've just been told by the Wrexham stato that is Mark Griffiths, the last time we scored 3 goals and a half was April 2015 against Alfreton. So it's been a few years. 3. Well, just under if you take a couple of months off, but it's nice to see Wrexham scoring goals. I went to watch a Vets game last night and it was 6-1. I will say it was quite nice to be entertained with a few goals. So today I'd
take 6-1 today.
Yeah, 6-1 would be nice.
Yeah.
Sure, Pearson and Manny Smith would like 6-0.
Absolutely.
The fourth official indicates there will be 2 minutes of additional time in this first half, and all players are back on. Pearson isn't injured and has recovered from that knock. And play restarts with Dunn, who launches it, looking for Miller. Fete behind him again, though, and gets a header that dissects the dugout. So it'll be a Wrexham throw-in in these final few minutes of the half. James Jennings will take as he steals a few more yards into the Torquay half. Poor throw, but Dowling does it poorly and allows Miller to get him, but Torquay clear it. Pearson with a header. Back to Dowling. Bowden puts him under pressure, and Dowling surely holding Bowden there. The referee gives it the other way. Completely can't understand that one. It's a strange decision. Dowling is hugging Bowden and holding him off. Bowden is a foot away from the ball and just can't go to it, and the referee gives it the opposite way.
Yeah, it was quite a strange decision. He must have seen something different from the opposite side to us, because where we are up in the stand, we could plainly see what was going on.
Bowden not happy with it as he backheels the ball and walks off in discussion with the referee, but nevertheless, Durrell will restart play from his own half, launches it long, and it falls for O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan does find Downing into Reid. Reid can turn out to O'Sullivan. Sullivan's low cross is blocked easily. Holroyd challenges Reid, and it's not the best of challenge. You mess with my mate, I mess with yours, and Reid gets the ball back. Holroyd does get a better challenge this time, and Wedgbury can clear, looking for Miller. Miller puts Fetty under pressure, and Bowden gets the clearance first time over the top to Miller. Miller, one to beat in the corner, breaks into the 18-yard box, cuts outside again, lays it to Kelly. Kelly, first time ball gets deflected back. Kelly will get a second bite of it, and the referee blows for half time. It'll be one that Wrexham fans will have enjoyed, especially our German visitors who've seen 3 goals, as Wrexham go into the half. 3, Torquay 0.
You're listening to Wrexham Football Club commentary live on Calon FM, brought to you by the Wrexham AFC media team. Every kick, every goal, every moment, home and away. Coming up next, half-time match analysis followed by the second half of today's game. Follow all of the action live and exclusive here on Calon FM. Listen on 105 FM, online at calonfm.com or via the TuneIn radio app. Follow us on Twitter at CalonFM and at Commentary WAFC. Wrexham AFC on Calon FM. Whenever, wherever.
Calon FM.
Woof. That'll do us, I think. Wrexham 3-0 up at the break. Thank you to Torquay United for doing what it says on the tin and playing like they are the bottom of the table team. And as Well, as James rightly said, it's the first time Wrexham scored 3 in the first half since April 2015. First time we've been 2 goals to the good, at least, at half-time, since a game James and I were talking about last match, the Forest Green game, which Wrexham won in November 2016. That was the last time Wrexham were 2 goals ahead at the break. And, well, I mean, Richard, I mean, you can't argue with that, can you, really? Wrexham have looked good going forwards and deserve a heavy lead.
Yeah, it's, you know, that old saying, it's not how, it's how many. And that's definitely the case today, because there's been, you know, some really good play by Wrexham. There's been at least 1 goal that I thought, you know, on another day that wouldn't have gone in. And yet, it doesn't matter. You're 3-0 up. You're building on the confidence. You can just see Torquay's heads going down when that 3rd goal went in. And yeah, I do feel there'll be plenty for Dean to re-emphasise at half-time, and sort of, you know, I think defensively there's still a lot to work on there, actually, despite the fact that we're 3-0 up. I don't think we've been decisive enough in defence, but you know, you can't knock 3-0. It doesn't happen every week.
It hasn't happened for a number
trying to suppress my natural cynic and sort of negative feeling that, oh, it's not a safe lead, and hope that, you know, we're going to go on to score 6 or 7 here.
No, we're not. Let's put that to bed straight away.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't happen every week. Well, my quick maths estimates it happens about every 130 weeks. If April 2015 was the last time we did this.
There we go.
So I think you're certainly correct in that assertion.
Safe bet, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. If you could bring James into for a second as well, because we were sort of trying to talk about this a bit in the first half, and we couldn't get enough time to do it proper justice. Mark Barnes asked us on the hashtag ASKWXM, so you're going to, again, ask us anything over the break or in the second half, please use hashtag AskWrexham. A nice sort of dual-headed question. Has there been a game this season when we've achieved both defensive stability and created plenty of chances? And my answer to that was no, because I felt that the Barrow game last Saturday was the first time this season we actually really have created lots of chances. But in the second half of it is worthy of lengthier debate. How should Keats change the team and or the tactics to achieve this? And Richard didn't have much chance to answer it in full detail, but did say bringing in a goal scorer is going to help. What's your thinking on this, James? How do we go forwards with this?
I agree completely. The first part of the question is easy. No, we haven't. Even today, really, the defence at times has looked a little shaky. How do we change it? I mean, really, I know Holroyd played this left-hand side role at Dover, but today he's not doing that. Same as he did in Barrow. He took very flexible, almost have come a front 3 stroke. He plays in that number 10 role, and it seems to have created space. Bowden's playing well. Miller's the key, I think, because his work rate and willing to chase down balls, very, very much like Holroyd does, but a little bit more pace, has resulted in Wrexham being more attack-minded, I think, and creating more chances. To answer the question, very difficult. How should Keats change the team? I think Akil Wright comes into this team. Obviously, his 2.5-year signing shows great intent and great belief in a young player that I think can be moulded into a good player in this league, in the league potentially above, and hopefully would have some sort of sell-on value as well. So he would come in, and him and Wedgbury have naturally caused this shield for that defence, but we do look like we're not going to create as much. Kelly in this wide position doesn't seem to suit it. Well, he looks very Keats-esque, I think we mentioned against Barrow, and today he's been a bit quieter than he has been today. The midfield sort of been very swamped. It's been the wide players have had more of the room today. Kelly has influenced the game more in a creative. I think we've all been clamoring out for a striker. I think, yes, that's part of the problem. I think we need a certain type of striker. I don't think strikers are necessarily the issue. Miller will score goals. He hasn't scored yet. He's clearly a gifted striker.
He's got it in him, isn't he?
Clearly, he's a gifted striker. So it's not necessarily that we need a gifted striker to score the goals, because there are plenty of strikers around this league and the league above that aren't particularly great. but have a knack of scoring. I think our main problem is creativity. We don't create. We need a player that can create. We need a player that's a mould of Wedgbury and Kelly in the same player to a certain extent. And finding one at this level is very difficult unless you want to pay money. The three together, Wedgbury, Kelly, and Akil Wright, could work well together, but then who do you sacrifice? Do you sacrifice Rutherford, who's your workhorse? Holroyd basically writes himself into this team, his goal scoring record alone, whether he's played up front or whether he's played in this sort of floating role. Bowden is key to the way we're playing at the moment. I think possibly you could replace him maybe with an out and out nasty target man, but you very much need the runners alongside him, so it's where it's a difficult balance. I can see why fans are frustrated that we don't score a lot of goals, and that, yes, it's annoying. It could have saved us in a few games. However, having that defence has saved several points this season when we've been the not so, the second best team a lot of the time, and our defence has held firm. We've nicked it 1-0. So fine balance. I think that we need a nasty target man, conference style striker. That's what we're missing from the squad. And we need a centre midfield player that has got legs but can create. I think those are two players we need. Who you take in and out is a very fine balance. But I think you could argue a case for all of them. Kelly would possibly be the one that would sit out for me when he is forced to play on that left-hand side, because I don't think he's got the legs to play a left winger anymore, but he's certainly not more effective in the middle.
Yeah. So we're looking for a midfield creator and destroyer. Hashtag Cheap Keats, if there's one out there.
Yeah, hashtag Cheap Keats, or a fit Lee Fowler style player.
Yeah.
That can hold and dictate from there. But then you can put a Keel right alongside him as the legs and run round charging. I think it's a very fine balance, and you need to find that player. And I can see why Dean's hesitance, I suppose, I mean, look, I'd love to go up this season. I'd love to go up any season we've been in this conference, in this National League. But I like what Dean's doing to a certain extent. He's got his defence in, which has been much praised, and rightly so, and they're all on 2-year contracts. So next year we already have our four-man defence sorted. He may choose to upgrade one of those positions or bring in some reinforcements, I don't know, but you've basically already got that sorted. You've now got a Keel Wright in there who's impressed, is the right age, is the right temperament, and everyone else is fighting for a contract. Holroyd is probably in the next position that would be arguing that he's done enough to get a contract. Now, I don't think Dean wants wholesale changes next year. I think he wants to tweak, and it's very much a project. If we don't go this year, I think he wants to be challenging next year. If we get it this year, it's a bonus. But while we're in a position where the league has allowed us to be in this position, and we've got a chance, we have funds, I think you roll your dice to a certain extent, because you don't know. We can't see the future. We don't know if it's going to come up again. But Dean is, when I say hesitant, he wants to identify the right type of player, not just the right type of footballer, the right type of personality to fit in his squad, to fit in his ethos. And finding that is difficult. I know he does his homework. I know he goes and watches games. I know he's got lots of contacts, and I know fans can get frustrated with it seems a slow or appears to be a slow process. But I really don't think it is. I think he's got people, and sometimes you can't do a contract. Sometimes you can't do the deal you want to do. You do. And there's lots of reasons for that. But Dean Keats will be working very hard behind the scenes, and he'll know what he wants.
Absolutely. And as you say, it is a process. And I think we need to trust the process up to a point. And if, Carl Darlington has publicly said that the priority was to work from the back forwards, knowing that, if there's improvement to make later on the attacking side, we will do. But the first thing is don't lose games, which we've done well. Richard, if I could just ask you, see, there's two areas to this that come to my mind. Well, really, it's exactly as Mark asked the question. If if you attack more, you leave yourself exposed more. I would argue, having seen this half, this and the Barrow game are the two by far most creative performances we put in. But a lot of that is achieved by committing players into more attacking positions. So, for example, Holroyd, playing off the left, is asked to come narrow and support the strikers. And that makes it more difficult for him then to get back into that defensive shape. So we've been very effective, because when we lose the ball, we are immediately rock solid. There's a 4-4-2 shape. The midfielders are all screening the back four, and it's hard to break us down. Whereas it's harder for Holroyd to get across and do that job, for example, when his job is to drift inside and find pockets of space wherever. So is that part of the problem as well? Just that structurally, we've got to sacrifice our defensive block in order to have more variety going forwards.
Yeah, possibly, and I think part of the answer to that is you can only do that against certain teams, and other teams you don't get away with it as much, or you can't risk it as much.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you may see two different Wrexhams at times. And, you know, from one week to another, you might think, where's that sparkle gone? Well, it's because we're not risking that sparkle this week, because we're not playing Torquay, we're playing, you know, whoever.
It's a tale of two Wrexhams. I like it.
Well, I think, you know, I've got to give Dean the credit of, I think he's got, between him and Carl, they've got the tactical nous to know you can't go full at it all the time. You have to be pragmatic sometimes, and I think, there are games or periods of games, even when you can commit more.
Yeah, so for example, you're quite right. So Torquay getting the ball down on the floor. They're not particularly direct, and therefore Holroyd's got an opportunity to get across. In those periods where Torquay have moved it around in our half and kept possession for a while, Holroyd's got plenty of time to get in, and that block is in place.
He can float around a bit, actually, and then float back.
You don't want him to... Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We got the ball, he looks for space. Yeah. If the side's building up slowly, like Torquay have tended to...
He's got the time to float back.
He's got time to get back, except... I've said that, I'm about to correct myself here. In the early stages of the game, when Torquay looked at their most dangerous, they were getting the wing backs and finding space.
Well, that's because they were playing more direct straight down the wings then. Whereas there have been times here where they've been playing it across, which looks nice football.
I don't agree.
I don't
think they've been terribly direct, but we've left gaps out wide because Rutherford comes in to support, and the Bowden. Holroyd comes in and drifts and finds space in the hole. And then we naturally have gone narrow in our shape once we've lost the ball, and it's that moment of transition then when we're narrow that gives them the chance to push wing backs up. And I don't think they're that direct. It's just that we've left those little gaps down the sides. Whereas, say a side like Boreham Wood, you're going to pump balls up the pitch quickly, then Holroyd's got absolutely no chance to get back. As just hearing news, James Jennings took that knock to the head, and he's not going to come out for the second half. Matt Carrington's going to come on to fill in at left back, so that's a bit of a blow.
Well, that would be a much different look and feel.
I think Carrington's still doing pretty well at left back.
Yeah, no, he is. But he doesn't play like James Jennings.
That's right. That's a fair point. It links into what we were saying there. Jennings sometimes left isolated on the left-hand side if Holroyd's come narrow. Well, he still feels confident to come forwards. Carrington, I suspect, going forward his wrong foot, not so much.
Yeah, I think you'll see maybe a slightly more convincing defensive performance from Wrexham in the second half, but maybe struggling a little bit more on the breakaway or the movement forward, because I don't think Carrington will get as far forward, or I don't think he'll be as enterprising as Jennings.
I think naturally the case. It's as Carrington now comes on, and we're about to get things going in the second half here on Calon FM.
I'm Paul Rutherford. Follow Wrexham AFC on Calon FM.
I enjoyed that half-time. That felt like a podcast in the making. I think I'll have to put that one out and commit it to history. We talk here, kicking towards the Cop end, and thus to their left over their shoulders, the Magdeburg fans who have been making such a good noise during the first period. Wrexham 3 goals to the good against Torquay. We've never beaten them by a margin of 3 goals. We've beaten them 4-2 twice. Can we set a new mark against the goals? As from the start, Torquay launch a harmless ball forward, which Dunn allows to bounce through to him. before finally picking it up. He wanders to the edge area, so Carrington actually has come on, interestingly, right back. Hang on a sec, something's going on here. Wrexham knocked the ball forwards. Bowden's on the chase. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's Roberts who's gone off, not James Jennings. The ball's knocked long, yeah, so Carrington's got it right back. Roberts is who's gone off, beg your pardon. And Torquay start things off. The ball's laid backwards and knocked over the top. Good firm header by Manny Smith. Bowden lays it off neatly. Rutherford's done well to get the 50-50 and flick it on again. And Bowden heads it quickly over his man's head to Kelly. Kelly hooks her over his shoulder. But Holroyd's come narrow, and so he's not out wide, and the ball dribbles out of play. Throw into Torquay.
Well, with that news, I'm actually more heartened by that, because I think James Jennings staying on and Carrington coming on in place of Roberts is actually a positive move. I think Roberts was too quick to hoof the ball out of defence in the first half. Didn't really look where he was.
Don't agree at all there, Rich. Don't agree at all.
I didn't feel like he had...
got forwards well, supported Rutherford well.
Yeah,
defended very well, got tight onto his man a number of occasions. It's clearly an injury anyway. There's no way they're going to sub Roberts for tactical reasons.
Just felt a couple of times he cleared the ball and almost didn't look where he was clearing it. It's maybe my...
That's National League football for you, Rich.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, Wrexham overthrowing a halfway line, left-hand side. Jennings with the ball in his hands, looking for options. Throws it down the second hole where Miller chests it down beautifully for Holroyd. Holroyd has trouble taming it and then goes down a bit theatrically. Ref doesn't give it. Memories of last match when the referee constantly wouldn't give decisions for him. But Wrexham win it back through Jennings and really well. Finds Holroyd. Again, just doesn't quite control it right, but it spills off a tackle to Wedgbury, and Wrexham continue the pressure. On the right-hand side, here's Carrington's first involvement. He'll square it onto Kelly. 35 yards out. Torquay have got decent shape with everyone bar one behind the ball though, and so Wrexham have to go back to the halfway line. And Pearson decides to go wenching forwards. Bowden tries a cute little flick round the corner for Jennings. Trouble is Jennings isn't round the corner, and the ball goes out of play for a throw to Torquay, level edge their area, right hand side. So for Torquay at half time, wasn't it? I'm sure, Richard, to keep their heads up.
Yeah. What do you say as the manager? Stop it from being a cricket score.
Oh yeah, throw in taken. Jennings knocks it over the top, and Miller's battling away. He's taking it past one defender. Has he drawn a free kick? He has. He's terrific at chasing lost causes there. He had no right to challenge for that, and having won it, he had no real hope. He nicked it past his man, drew the foul. He's got a free kick on the left side of the box, just outside it. Great work by Miller again.
Been really impressed with him so far in this game. He's chased everything. Looked really lively as well, and played some good balls.
If ever a guy deserves a goal, I mean, throughout his spell here, he has been so threatening, and it's hard to believe he hasn't scored, to be honest, especially because he's a goal-scoring pedigree from League One in a bit of spell he had last year, Barry. Anyway, Wrexham have a nice position here for this free kick. Rutherford will take it. It's about 5 yards out from the goal line, just outside the box, left-hand side. Rutherford sweeps it over the wall under the bar. Keeper punches it to the edge of the area. Marcus Kelly gets to it, brings it down on his left foot, and swings a long-range curler, which is headed away by Anderson. And now Torquay can break here as Dowling brings it down and goes surging forwards, but it's a clever ball to the left-hand side. It's just overhead. Reed will keep it in. He's only got one man in the box at the moment, Fletcher. He takes on Kelly down the left-hand side, gets into the box, beats Kelly too easily, drives a shot which clearly hits the defender's hand. Ref doesn't give the handball, and is poked back and is scrambled away by Kelly. I think it was Carrington's outstretched arm, and that's a penalty. It was hit at him hard, but he was, I think, far enough away. His arms outstretched. It's a penalty.
Yeah, I think he knew what he was doing there.
Well, Torquay come forwards down the left-hand side. There's Davis, who feeds it towards the edge of the area. Gets it back to Davis, feeds a nice ball into the head 6-yard box. It's a good run by Fletcher, but Pearson stands strong and gets a challenge on it. And Carrington clears it. Now then, here's Torquay once more, probing towards the edge of the box. Manny Smith this time does well to dispossess his man, but it'll come back at Wrexham again. Davis, left-hand side, works it back into midfield, where Lathrop switches. Fess has to wait for it to arrive. That allows Holroyd to close him down, so he has to go backwards. Good spell of pressure, of possession, by Torquay, which is then squandered with a poor ball forwards. Now Kelly beats one man and draws a foul in the middle of the pitch. Yeah. I mean, okay, it's 3-0. Wrexham with elements of fortune with a handball then from Carrington. And
in fairness, you don't want to let them back in, do you?
No, absolutely. As, to be fair to Torquay, they started the half fairly well. But the problem with being down the bottom, you don't get thrashed every week. You don't look awful every week. It's just that things go against you. They've been sloppy on set pieces. They've given Wrexham chances, and Wrexham have taken them. Free kick is squandered by Wrexham. Jennings wins the ball back in midfield. Good tackle that. But Dowling again is alert and gets to it. Please it forwards. Pearson, very sharp. First to the ball forwards. Puts it out of play for a goal kick. And Wrexham, well, I mean, a rare luxury to have this level of lead. But just thinking back to Miller as well. I mean, he's worked so hard. He looks like he's got goals in him, doesn't he? It seems strange he hasn't actually managed to score.
Yeah, definitely. He's and like you say, he's worked hard enough to deserve one. He certainly deserves one today.
No, absolutely, no question of that. As the goal kick's taken, Wedgbury attacks it, heads it back over the top, and the Miller's on the chase here, but he's not quite got that ahead of McGinty, who heads it to the keeper. He keeps chasing, but it's picked up by the goalkeeper, Darrell, in his fuchsia shirt, and Torquay work it around in their own half. In this case, the fuchsia is definitely bright. It's got an eye-catching kit. All works over to Davis. Thank you very much. I'm here all week. Davis works it back to the halfway line, and a switch is a poor one by Anderson. Wrexham pick it up again. Jennings trying to drive forwards, can't keep it in. Oh, actually, he nearly did so as he chased after the lost cause. Through into Torquay just inside the Wrexham half, right-hand side. Taken quickly. Lathrop has got a diagonal on, but he's held up by Miller, and so has to go back on himself. Now he plays the diagonal, and he underhits it, and Rutherford heads it clear. Now can Bowden start to break on the halfway line. His touches lets him down rather, and now he's chasing to try and claim the ball back. Davis dropping narrow, feeds it forwards. Anderson tries to feed an early straight ball over the top, and Carrington deals with that, but Luke Young, well, he picks up the loose ball. His touch is poor. Well, he's kept possession. He's not running into his promised position as he was a moment ago. It's dropped in midfield though, and Dowling, the right wing back again, is looking ambitious, knocks it forwards, and the spin rather defeats Fletcher. It wasn't a bad idea, but the spin on the ball to span it through to Dunn. But the two wing backs have switched sides for the moment, unusually, and Dowling on the right, well, was on the right, is quite prominent trying to drive play forward to Torquay, isn't he?
Yeah, you know, in fairness to Torquay, they started the first half quite brightly, and they've done the same in the second half. And I think it's just Wrexham's job now to try and dampen that down, hold out, and then come back again.
Reed right hand side. It is a good start this to Torquay. He's got into the box. Is that a penalty? It's just outside, I think. And Jennings will get his traditional yellow card. The 8th of the season, I think that is. It's he was done by Reed there and just chopped him as he got into the box, though. No arguments about that yellow card, was there?
No. And he was lucky to commit the foul just outside the box.
Yeah, he was very, very close. That is his 8th of the season. And his 13th for Wrexham. Fair play, he accumulates with nothing else. Grinding him away like Steve Smith in the Ashes. Free kick to Torquay in a really good position. It was a stride out of the box, right hand side, about 8 yards out. Wrexham have to defend in their 6-yard box. It's in a really nice position, this. So what can Torquay conjure up? It's a really packed box, every Wrexham player in the area. The ball floated into their 6-yard box. Good header, clear that by Bowden. Now can Wrexham break? No, and a shot comes over Dowling. Tremendous block by Pearson. And then Miller typically nudges between two men to poke the ball forwards, and Torquay suddenly having to defend an extremist, and they deal with it well. And Lathrop was cool to pass his way out from trouble. And now they can come forwards again. Reed trying to run at Jennings. Good tackle, but it's spun loose, and Reed is alert to it. Breaks on the back of the fence, and then puts the ball deep into the cop. Not sure what he was trying to do there, and he launched into it as if it was a shot. Surely it wasn't, and just mishit the ball hideously out of play. This is a typical 3-0 at half-time game, isn't it? The sides who were 3 up have eased off a little bit, and I wouldn't say we're looking to danger necessarily, but it's all a bit relaxed now.
And for the other side, nothing's going right.
The reason I was deceived by the oddity of Dowling switching flanks as wing backs is that they've switched to a 4-3-3. Dowling has gone into midfield, and it has suited them better, I think. thus far. Well, they didn't start the first half too badly. They're now 3-0 down to Wrexham here on Calon FM as Dunn knocks it through the middle. It's headed clear. Manny Smith heads it on. Sure, the Wrexham bench will be looking for Wrexham to pick this up a little bit. I mean, it's one thing coasting to a win. It's another thing taking your foot off the gas a little. Wrexham have. I don't feel threatened yet, but I'd like to see a little bit more from us as Kelly nods it square to Wedgbury on the halfway line. He feeds it back to his own half. Pearson, left-footed, inaccurate. And it'll bounce through. It bounces through to a vet. He's made a real drama of this. I think he wanted to go out for a throw and it didn't. Now he's penned in and Holroyd has forced the ball out for a throw to Torquay level edge of the area, right-hand side. Still sort of poor decision-making that drops teams down the bottom of the table. There's players making bad choices like that, isn't it?
Yeah, and they sort of get penned back in their own area and it's just another really bad day at the office and everything goes wrong.
Because they squander possession from the throw and now Wrexham have the ball in the hands of James Jennings on the halfway line and Wrexham can now start to put some pressure on perhaps. Well, they can't because the referee has said he stole some yards. Jennings looks frustrated. He needs to keep his opinions to himself, mind, because he's just been booked. And indeed he does. So throw in right-hand side, which Affet will take. It's been a bit of a non-event the second half so far. 57th minute here on Calon FM. Wrexham leading 3-0 against Torquay United. Affet feeds it backwards and McGinty drives it long and left-footed. Pearson backpedals and heads it into midfield where O'Sullivan is the first there, but really good pace by Wedgbury to latch on to a under-hit pass by O'Sullivan, and Wrexham can try and bring the ball clear. Bowden showing good strength, turns, lashes it down the flank. Miller beaten to it by McGinty. Young turns in space in the middle of the pitch, stands it over the top. Pearson underneath it is beaten to it in the air by Reid, and he wants a throw-in. Linesman gives it the other way and Reid gets in the linesman's face in dissenting that decision. He needs to be careful. By the same token, this isn't the point where you want to be picking up a silly yellow card from a Torquay point of view. If the game's gone, don't get yourself suspended here.
Absolutely. You're just chasing a lost causes there and you're just compounding the misery really at the end of the day, aren't you? So Torquay's still got a lot to play for here. They got just besides their own pride, pulling the goal back changes this game because it'll give them the spark that they need. And for Wrexham, the main thing I suppose you set out now is you want a clean sheet in the second half, and if we get an extra goal or two, brilliant.
Wrexham have a throw 10-yard shot at halfway, and the attendance is 4,242 here at the racecourse today. Very impressive. It's had a good bit of support from East Germany to be there. Throw and taken. Bowden pulls it back on the halfway line. Holroyd pops it back to Wedgbury, who's put under pressure. And he digs the ball out to the right-hand side. Carrington shoved in the back, it seemed, or linesman's given it. Free kick to Wrexham, 35 yards out. He's just announcing, you can hear the applause, standing ovation for the Wrexham fans, because they've announced the Torquay fans, it was 60-something, and then they've said nearly 200 Magdeburg fans, and the Wrexham fans are turning to applaud them.
That's fantastic.
And that stokes up the atmosphere in a moribund second half. Wrexham have an attacking free kick. The German fans are responding in kind. And here comes Carrington with a free kick, which is swings to the edge of the area. It's headed away. The one-man wall was about 2 yards off that then. I can't believe the referee allowed that. It's clear to the halfway line. Wedgbury wins a good header. And now Pearson in the middle of the pitch on the retreat has to win an important ball, or we could have been open to a breakaway. Well, he does well to win it and then to draw a foul. A clear shove in the back from Dowling, who is moaning about the decision. I can't quite see why. It was a pretty straightforward one. Three things to the left while Torquay haven't got their shape right. And Holroyd's breaking now, running at Dowling. Cuts back on his right foot, stands up across to the edge 6-yard box. Manny Smith still up there. It carries through. Rutherford, tight angle, can't get the shot off, so he pulls it back to the edge of the area. Wedgbury squares it. It's picked up by Jennings, who is narrow, and he works it across to Holroyd. Holroyd, corner of the box, rips a great ball in. Good headed away by Affet. That had a lovely shape on it, but Affet stood tall. And now Torquay can break, spread to the right-hand side. Reid, who's looked very lively down the right since the switch to the 4-3-3, is tearing down the flank. He cuts in onto his left foot. This time, unlike the Barrow second goal, Kelly doesn't sell himself so easily, but it's fed forwards to Fletcher, back to Reid, and he beats Jennings, who sells out too easily. Cross comes in. Pearson volleys it away from under his bar. Holroyd with a defensive header, spins to Dowling, who slams a shot wide. Wrexham claimed he controlled it with his arm. It was a great contact by him, but he couldn't keep it on target. And, well, a rare little burst of excitement on the hour for us, Richard.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not sure which team took greater encouragement from the cheers of the Magdeburg fans, whether it was us or Torquay, actually, at this point, because Torquay suddenly came to life as well. So, yeah, I just think, we are a little bit flat in the second half.
It's understandable, I think.
Yeah, you're not going to risk anything too much, are you? But you'd love to see us just go for it a little bit and see if we can just push on.
Well, Fletcher, the youngster on loan, has come off. Hang on, has he? It's Rory Keating who's come on anyway. I don't know. I'll come back to that in a sec, just make sure I'm right. There's a great burst in the back down the right-hand side by Effect, which is stopped by a good tackle by Jennings. And now Wrexham knock a long diagonal. That's a late-looking ball. 3-on-3 break. Holroyd, left side of the box with the two strikers in support. Torquay defenders getting back quickly. Holroyd mixed angle for a shot. His shot is blocked, but he tries to fight for and can't claim back the loose ball. And now here come Torquay with Reed down the right-hand side. Reed knocks it down the flank, tries to use his pace. He's hit it too far though, and Pearson tides it up nicely and feeds it into midfield. Kelly now has it. The game's suddenly stretched. Kelly slows it down though to walking pace and goes back to Pearson. There's a chance for him to launch something, and I thought Pearson decides it is, and he knocks it long. Miller chests it down. Holroyd tries to head it back down the flank. Miller, tireless as ever, chases another impossible task. This time he can't quite keep the ball in. But I
think the problem there was most of our forwards were coming back from an offside position, and that's why he sat on the ball for a few seconds, hoping they'd sort of move a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be fair. I think he just thought, no, I don't fancy knocking it long like that, and maybe picking out somebody who's off. It is indeed Fletcher who's gone off. Keating has gone through the middle, so O'Sullivan playing off him to the left and Reed to the right. As Wrexham have a throw in on the halfway line, left-hand side, thrown down the flank, and Miller is battling away once more to hold the possession. He can't this time, not long. Manny Smith heads it away, drops loose, and Wrexham claim the ball back through Bowden. As tricky as it is to bring it down for Jennings, he managed to... Oh, he's not kept it in fact. Throwing to Torquay on the halfway line, right-hand side. It's a Fest to take it. He's got an option down the line. Keating offering and receiving it back to goal. Works it back to the halfway line. Fest once more. Goes back into his own half. Long ball driven forwards. Headed onto his man by Jennings. Throw goes Wrexham's way. Opportunity perhaps for Wrexham to look to the bench and give players a run out. So Keogh Wright's been out injured, so maybe give him an opportunity to get a few minutes on the pitch.
Yeah, and you get a great welcome after this week's events. Don't think you're risking anything at this point, and let him stretch his legs.
Absolutely.
And see what happens, really.
Throwing taken. Bowden heads it straight out of play. He got whacked in the back of the head for his trouble. Nothing suspicious about that challenge. And Wrexham immediately start to send players to warm up. Throw-ins taken into midfield. Drops back to Effect on the right-hand side, and he feeds it backwards. A long ball over the top. Pearson once done to come for it, and he eventually does, and has to come out of the area and hurriedly kick it into the dugout. Pearson's not impressed with Dunn's lack of response. Throw-in taken quickly. Dowling flicks it over Wedgebury's head and gets to the ball before Carrington, but Wrexham immediately close Torquay down and force him to play it long, where Manning's solid heads it away. Throw-in to Torquay, 25 yards out from the Wrexham goal. Thrown in quickly. Dowling now. Wedgebury faces him up, set back into midfield. Wrexham again pushing on. Lathrop feeds it nicely into the centre circle. McGinty stepping forwards, tries to dink a diagonal. That's not a bad idea. Well read by Carrington. Did really well on the stretch to intercept that. Carrington now on his left foot. Hits it long. Miller won't get there. And he's done well again to fight and tackle his man. Through into Torquay. 25 yards out, left-hand side. Quick throws on. The referee warns Davis. He's stealing yards. He didn't warn Jennings when he gave a foul throw against him. But no, Davis capitalises upon that warning by throwing it forwards, and Carrington shoved in the back pretty blatantly anyway. Nice quiet game so far for Carrington, hasn't it, really? He's not had much to do at right back.
I think when you come in at 3-0 up, you probably think you're going to have a decently easy game. having said that, credit to Torquay. They are still trying. They're still keeping their heads up. And if anything, I think they've actually played better football since they've been 3-0 down than they did before. And I don't know whether that's just nothing to lose, let's just loosen up and play, because we've given it away already. I don't know. But it's a shame they don't play like that from the start.
And equally, Wrexham lacking a little bit of urgency.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's the second half's been all Torquay, but nothing's really been created. Pearson knocks it long. Bowden can't win it. Rutherford helps it back in. Miller battling. Oh, he's done really well to bring that down the edge of the area. Squeezes it to the edge of the D. Bowden works into Rutherford right side the box. Little bit of space for him. He floats across too close to the keeper. Durrell, though, drops it, but he was clearly fouled. And the referee plays advantage of the keeper. Picks her up and bowls it over to the right-hand side. And Torquay go long this time. It's a good ball down the flank, in fact, to Reid. Draws Jennings to him and squares it inside. Kelly commits and doesn't make there. Young drags it beyond him neatly and then switches to the left-hand side. Good ball over to O'Sullivan, who's got Carrington isolated. Swings across it instead of taking him on, though, and Carrington blocks it. Sullivan, lovely touch to bring the ball down after it spanned back out to the flank. And now he's looking for support. Carrington sleeps tight to him and forces him to play it into midfield. Lathrop carries it forwards, plays the ball to the edge of the box, which is difficult for Dowling to control, and he's possessed, but it's only partially cleared. Keating tries to turn on it, and at the first instance can't find the space to do so, but in the second instance breaks onto it down the right-hand side, wins a corner, and Wrexham have to close it down. There's an oddly dead atmosphere now. The game sort of just drifting along, and we're nearly halfway through the second half. It's all pretty prosaic.
Well, it's almost like the game's gone away from both teams now, and one's decided they've won, the other one's decided they've lost.
Away swinger comes in, headed away at the near post. Holroyd hooks it clear further. Miller's on his own up front, battling away. He's forced a poor touch by Davis, but Bowden's attempt to send Holroyd away is inaccurate. Holroyd on a hat-trick, of course, and will be itching to get another chance. Carrington thrashes it forwards. Miller jumps and wins a good header. There's no one beyond him, but McGinty unnecessarily clatters into the back of him and gives Wrexham a free kick on the halfway line. And it was a pretty unnecessary challenge that by McGinty.
Yeah, I think that was probably frustration more than anything else. Miller was, he was on a heightened to nothing now. He was never going to create anything dangerous at that point, and to just clatter straight through the back of your man.
Keel Wright goes to warm up and gets a round of applause from the Wrexham fans. Free kick on the halfway line then. Carrington sweeps it in towards Pearson, who jumps and is beaten to it well in the air by McGinty. No shove in the back there. Reid's layoff could have started off a break, but Kelly intercepted and then quickly span and played a good ball to the right. Rutherford now. Miller wants it down the line. Rutherford takes on his man instead, breaking down the flank. 3 men around him. He nearly squeezes the ball into Miller. Just about. Davis took the pace off the bars. And now here's a chance for a break with a Fett down the right-hand side. Good pace, burst beyond Manny Smith. Although Smith actually does manage to recuperate. And now suddenly a Fett finds himself with 3 Wrexham players around him. Wedgbury typically mugs him. That's typical Wedgbury, that. While the others pressed, Wedgbury stepped in and threw the brick through the window. Kelly, in the left-back position, drove it on. And Miller won't quite get there. It falls for Dowling in the centre of the pitch. Nice little layoff. Chance perhaps for Torquay to probe through Young, who plays a ball back to Dowling, is tackled. He's managed to get to the loose ball and work over to the left-hand side. Crossed by Davis. Pearson is there. Heads it away into midfield. On the stretch, Dowling does well to bring that down again. Lathrop takes over and works it over to the right-hand side. Now, Wrexham off the defenders. Reid comes running at Jennings, comes narrow and pulls a poor ball, dreadful ball. And he's looked threatening, Reid, hasn't he? And yet his end product often has been poor. Richard will tell you about that, and then James will take you through to the final whistle.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think Jamie Reid has shown he's got definite pace. He's just struggling with the end product at the moment, and he's made a couple of really quick bursts down the wing to nothing. And that's probably the story of Torquay's day, really.
Yeah, summed up really by Effiat with that run, power, pace, and then no end product. But Dunn restarts, and it'll be Keating, who runs on a bit of a life is a roller coaster route then, and the ball is played over the top for Miller to chase. Miller might go and see this. Keeper just gets there, Durrell. As Miller sniffs out that goal before his load spell ends.
Mate, it's probably better when you say nothing at all.
Yeah, let's see if we can get any more Boyzone references in, or Ronan Keating references before the end of the half.
as Mark Griffiths hurriedly Googles boys' own hits.
Trust me, my sister was a big fan. I was subjected to it as a teenager.
Dear me.
Jennings crosses in, cleared by McGinty. Gets the ball back though. Jennings, one man to beat. Thinks about it, now does go outside, cuts back inside. Still one man to kick. A second, cuts inside. Launches one left hand side. Just goes wide, doesn't quite get the curl, and it does well there. Jennings, patient. Etiette was showing him on the outside, but Jennings was determined. He was cutting in and launching one. Eventually, patience pays off and does get the shot away, but can't get the curl on it that's required. At least Wrexham starting to show a little more attacking impetus. Whatever that word was supposed to be, it wasn't the right one. Impetus is the right one. Pearson looking for Miller on the attack. Etiette gets a foot and launches it up. It's a bit head tennis. Kelly gets a foot in and is stolen off him by Reed. Dowling switches play, looking for O'Sullivan, but Carrington is under it. Gets a good header and Rutherford is there on the cover. Launches it long, but Anderson is there. Big strong lad, and gets it to Downing on the left hand side. Downing cuts inside, brings it onto his right hand side, gets a 1-2 with Young, still get it, charges in. Wedgbury tries to make a challenge, but Keating gets it, and the advancing Etiette gets it back. Downing now, back in midfield, he's got runners out to the wide, doesn't use him. Manny Smith launches it with his head. Bowden can't hold it up, but gives a foul away to Downing, takes it quickly.
Strange decision again.
Long shot from Lathop through a bunch of players, and Keating tries to swing his leg at it, but no good there, and goes rolling through to Dunn, and that'll be one of the easiest saves he has to make in his career. Dunn launches it long. Head tennis just inside the centre circle. And Downing, who does seem to have found more possession in the second half, and now he's moved inside. Tries to play the ball out, but Carrington gets it. Carrington tries to play a ball into channel where Miller's run, but Davis is there on the cover. Into O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan back to Downing. Downing into Reed, but intercepted by Kelly. Kelly does well. Releases Miller quickly. He's got Anderson beat. Has to hold it back up as the ball bounces awkwardly, but releases Rutherford. Rutherford to the byline. Crosses the 18-yard box across to the head of face of goal, and Bowden just not tall enough, and Holroyd will keep that in at the far side. Drives in the cross, but it gets deflected and ends up at Laythorpe, but Pearson will get the clearance and put it out for a throw in just inside the Torquay half-bridge.
Yeah. Good cross there. Unfortunately, he was a little bit overhit. Like the way he worked his way into the dead ball line and got the ball across, but unfortunately just flashed across everybody. And again, just a little bit flat in this second half, James.
Yeah, it is indeed. As Torquay are on the attack again, this time with Davis down the left-hand side, who drives down and crosses a ball first time into the box. Dunn's there, gets one hand to it but drops it, but it falls kindly for Pearson. Pearson will bring it away. Out to Jennings. Jennings launches it long, looking for Bowden. Bowden wins a good flick header. Miller's in now, one on. Holroyd's in the centre. It's a terrible ball. Holroyd's pulled out. It's all alone in centre circle, but can't get it. Holroyd puts the ball back. Bowden hits it. Miller's there. Miller heads it, and he puts it onto the goalkeeper. Literally a foot in front of the keeper. All he has to do is knock it left or right, and he heads it straight into the keeper, who's bemused as it hits him and it clears out. Comedy of errors there. Miller was broke through. Holroyd had pulled onto the penalty spot. Was no one around him, and Miller just been the first time the youngsters really looked a little bit unsure of what to do.
He seemed to chase his head around the whole ball there and finally make contact with it straight into the unexpected arms of the goalie.
I think that's the only reason he missed it. It can be the unexpected. I don't suppose he's ever played at a level of football or that ball gets through to him. But never mind. It'll be a Torquay free kick just inside the Wrexham half, over on this left-hand side in front of the Ale. Launches it left-hand side to Davis, gets a flick on O'Sullivan, but that'll go harmlessly out for a goal kick. And Dunn will restart play as long as he takes his time getting the ball back into the 6-yard box. But yeah, Wrexham really should be 4, and George Miller should be reeling off scoring his first goal for Wrexham.
Yeah, I'm going to sound a little greedy now, but I'm going to feel a little bit robbed if we go home and it's only 3-0. Because I just think, 4 would have been the icing on the cake there.
Yeah, there's a danger of being 3-0 up, playing well in the first half. It'd be interesting to see what that Appleton score was in 2015.
Yeah, well,
it did end up 4. I've just asked Mark, and Mark's just told me it was a 4-0. So, can Wrexham repeat that? Jennings now launched it, looking for Bowden in the left-hand channel. Bowden is marked there by McGinty, but gets a foot to it. Launches it for Miller, who challenges Affetti, but Affetti turns and bustles his way out of it. Launches it long, and Keating will challenge with Pearson and wins that one. Keating, of course, the nephew of Ronan, not father and son relation. And Torquay bring the ball out on the right-hand side in front of the Mould Road as they cross the halfway line. Here comes McGinty into Young to Reed, plays a 1-2, gets the ball back on the byline, but Wedgbury gets there and Pearson can hit the ball against the Torquay player, and he goes out. Rich is looking at me, we're getting these boys' own references, and he simply has no words. There's another one for you, Rich.
It's not often you'll see me speechless.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I think that's 4. More boys' own references than we managed to get goals so far. Let's see if we can put that right. Done. Launches the ball. Holroyd contests it on the halfway line. It drops kindly for Laythorpe. Laythorpe launches it and Wedgbury's there again, but ricochets nice, and here is the aforementioned Keating. Keating tries to cut inside, Pearson's there. Kelly gets the block. It's a little bit messy, but Jennings can break with it. Jennings, early ball looking for Miller. Miller's through here. He should be in for pace. Great challenge by McGinty. Really had to make a challenge there. I'm going to have to credit it to Anderson, who'd come across. Miller had got goal side of him and just managed to get a last-ditch attempt to stop the one-on-one as Torquay can now break again.
No, it's brilliant interception there. Really good. Outstretched.
O'Sullivan on the left-hand side cuts back into Downing. Plenty of space and can drive forward. Only as far as Wedgbury will let him, who now makes the pressure move, and Holroyd intercepts. Miller's off again, but he doesn't let to play. It plays in Bowden. It's not the best of balls, but Bowden's done well and waits for support. He got it from Jennings, and Bowden chases off down the flank. Jennings back to Kelly. Kelly now goes forward. Bowden back into Kelly. Kelly tries to play the quick ball to Jennings, and he does well to chase it, but McGinty was always favourite, and Wrexham will have to accept the throw-in. A little bit of promise there, but nothing really came of it, as Gosling will now come on for Torquay. Gosling comes on for Laythorpe. The number 4 goes off, and number 11, Gosling, comes on. More of an attacking substitution there for Torquay. See if it changes their shape. They have been playing 4-3-3 in the second half, and it seems to have worked for them, Rich.
Yeah, definitely. They've been more solid in the second half, and I think they've actually been more creative in the second half as well. Possibly a little unlucky not to have had a penalty. I just think it's one of those things where you're at the bottom of the table and nothing goes right for you as well. As I said to Mark before in commentary, they play better in the second half, and don't know whether it's just because the game's gone, that they've got nothing to lose, but actually played nicer football.
Torquay are indeed playing nicer football, and that nicer football one-touch passing has just created a gap and an overlap, as they can now attack on the right-hand side and break into the half of Wrexham's half. He's got support here, and Young chooses not to use and gets a cross in, but there's no one there. And good work by the right back, who'd supported Young but didn't use him, and Young just put a cross in. There's no one in the box, and Dunn shouldn't be dropping those catches and doesn't. As he launches it long now, looking for Bowden. Challenged by McGinty. McGinty wins it, but it comes as far as Wedgbury on the centre spot. Wedgbury lays it off to Kelly. Kelly's got Holroyd, who's come inside. Holroyd drives forward. Finds Rutherford. Rutherford one to beat. It's McGinty. Jinks inside the 18-yard box, then goes back outside and lays it off to Wedgbury. Wedgbury's got Carrington, who's made a run. Bowden's pulled out well into the 18-yard box. Plunge one in. Far post, and Holroyd raises his foot up, but it's always just too high. It seems to have got a deflection on the way through because the referee's pointing for a corner.
Yeah, it's just another one of those, just drifting past. Not quite in the right area, but probably the best chance we've had in the last 10 or 15 minutes, and should give us an opportunity now.
It'll be Kelly who's going to take over corner duties in this second half now. Rutherford successful in the first half. It'll be Kelly with a left-footed in-swinger. Bowden makes a great run to the near post, drops it short, gives him the angle, but the second ball in is poor. Clearance only to Wedgbury, and Wedgbury launches it high. Pearson rises up with McGinty, but McGinty wins that one. Wedgbury, though, head tennis straight back in. McGinty heads it away and forced to Dowling, challenged by Rutherford. Doesn't win that one, and Dowling can spread it wide. Here comes Gosling, his first touch as he tries to take it inside, but Wedgbury and Carrington close him out, no space there. Good pressure by Gosling, though. He forces a throw-in off Carrington as he looks to launch it for Rutherford down that channel. Doesn't come off, and it'll be a Wrexham throw midway in their own half, over in front of this Yale stand, which is packed with our German fans who've made the trip. Over the line, Bowden gets the flick on, finds Miller, who has no right to win that. Said that a few times. Miller releases Holroyd, a little bit too much on it, and he has to go to the corner flag. Jennings is coming in support, gets it, level with the 18-yard box, first time, deflection off. Will go out for a corner. No, the scrambling Durrell from the Torquay goal has managed to keep that in. Jennings cross gets a deflection, and Holroyd let it run thinking it would go out. Looked for all the world that it would. Rutherford challenges on the halfway line and gets the bear off it, and Davis has all the time in the world as that rolls to him nicely, and his first touch is horrible. Goes out for a throw-in to Wrexham, 20 yards inside the Torquay half. Wrexham see if they can capitalise on this 3-0 lead here on Calon FM. Any questions? Hashtag Wrexham, hashtag Ask Wrexham. We'll do our best to answer them, as that will be Paul Rutherford's last play of the game. He is substituted for Jack McCreth. Jack McCreth, another one that hopefully 2018 can be a bit more promising for. We know he's got pace. We just need to see some end product. Carrington takes to Bowden, who spins well and lays it off to his friend Holroyd. Holroyd drops to Kelly. Kelly can advance forward. He's got Jennings offered outside and finds him. Jennings into Bowden at the edge, who's dropped short. Tries the first time flick, doesn't come off, but rescues the ball and releases Jennings again. Jennings this time, Gonzetia goes to the byline, cuts back inside. Goes to the byline again, cuts back inside. Tries it a third time. Gets there and hits the ball, and Etiette does well and manages to clear it down. Pearson to Kelly and gets it back. Now to Manny Smith. Manny Smith looking for the ball, but never hit it perfectly, looking for McCreth. Torquay go long. Pacey Jamie Reid is after it. He does get there above a Pearson, but his first touch is poor, and it will be a goal kick. Yeah, I don't think Torquay did the great escape last year, but unless they get some serious players in, I think they're just lacking that quality. One of the poorer sides I've seen at the racecourse this year. I think Wrexham, it's nice to see us scoring 3 goals. It's nice to see us creating. It's nice to see us not tested too much in the back, but really against inferior opposition, to be fair. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Torquay are now, as it stands at this point, 12 points adrift of Leyton Orient, who sit just above the drop zone, and it's hard to see them finding their way back from that, to be honest, James. It is. Maybe getting ahead of Chester might be more realistic, who are there 7 points behind, but yeah, I think Chester are actually winning at the moment as well. As Miller puts pressure on Anderson, finds his centre-half partner McGinty, who now looks long for the marauding Etienne. He's got power and pace, but hasn't had an end product so far, and chooses to go inside. Finds Davis. Davis plays a nice ball down for O'Sullivan, who looks to get to the byline, but Carrington's there, has to force back. Gosling inside to Reed. Reed's got time, makes himself a shot. Straight through to Reed. Dunn though, and Dunn on his knees takes the ball comfortably. Just found a little bit of an extra yard on Kelly there.
Yeah, Dunn did well there actually, because the ball bounced nicely just in front of him. But as you said, he got down well and smothered it.
Yeah, never easy when the ball bounces. As Bowden lays it off beautifully. As Holroyd doesn't get the benefit from the layoff and can't play in Miller. Wedgbury fierce in the challenge as normal, covering every blade of my racecourse. Gosling runs into Wedgbury now, who's coming back from that breaking up the previous attack, and wins the ball again as Kelly gets the ball and spreads to Jennings. Jennings launches it forward, cleared easily by the Torquay defence, and eventually it drops back down to Kelly, and he tries to work some space, but is covered easily by Young.
Very scrappy in the midfield at the moment.
Yeah, and Wrexham not dominating it. It'd be interesting to see. Akeel Wright would be one possibly, but it looks like James Hurst is stripped off and ready to come on.
He's obviously not going to chance right at this point.
No, just come back from injury. It's, I suppose, it's the weighing up the options of a game potentially already won, or giving him a few more minutes.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? We've got him for the next 2.5 years, so there's no point in rushing him back, but then why name him on the sub bench if you're not going to give him a run out?
I suppose it depends what sort of way the game falls.
Yeah, exactly.
Dean can't predict it's going to be 3-0 at half time, as Manny Smith breaks up play with a great challenge in front of his own box, and also Holroyd, who launched it looking for Miller, but broken up by Torquay. It's very much gone stale in the midfield, and not a lot happening as both teams sort of run 30 yards, lose possession, and exchange players. We do find space now on the left-hand side as Davis tries to take on McCreth and hits it against McCreth's back. It bounces out for a corner. A lot of spin on that one, because you wouldn't have expected that to go out.
No, by rights that should have been a throw-in, but somehow curled back into towards the byline, and there we go. All of a sudden, Torquay have an opportunity.
Yeah, and it'll be Young, who's been on corner duty all of this half, taking it right-footed. Dunn comes, elects not to, and it sails over and straight out for a goal kick. Really should have something. Torquay put a couple of good balls into the box now, not just at corners, but nothing seems to be really happening. And James Hurst will be coming on for James Jennings, who we thought was being subbed at half-time, but is definitely going off this time.
Yeah, he's done a lot of running today, Jennings. A lot of chasing for the cause, and put in some good tackles as well as being creative up front. So he's had a good game today.
Yeah, more lively in the first half, James Jennings, after his goal the other week, and getting the applause from the crowd that he deserves. It's sometimes another one that criticism is aimed at, but I think he's a solid left back. He offers both defence and attack, which at this level is more than you can ask for, and he off straight down the tunnel, James, so can only suspect that he is going for a bit of treatment. As Dunn restarts play, Bowden hugged by Anderson, now McCreth balls it, great ball, first time to Miller to chase, but Ginty is there just in front of him, and Miller forces an error from him and wins the ball as Davis comes back and gets another challenge, and Wrexham end up the corner again. George Miller chasing lost causes, shouldn't have got anything, and Wrexham end up with the corner.
Yeah, typical Miller there. He's done that all day long, never gives up. Even when he loses the ball, he's straight back on it to win it again, and creates another opportunity out of just being relentless.
Kelly will continue with corner duties. In-swinger to the far post. Manny Smith is there. Handball penalty. And it's got to be a red card, surely.
Dear me.
I don't know what's happened there. I mean,
I thought in the melee that ensued, I thought the goalie had come out and
it looked for all the world the goalkeeper's there, because the hand comes clearly there and takes it off Manny Smith's head.
Absolute rush of blood.
I don't really know what he's playing. Was it Anderson there? I think it was 26. I can't see.
Did he even get booked?
Doesn't.
Or has he not dealt with that yet?
Unless he's going back to it, but
no, he's not.
No, he's not going back to it. One of the most cast iron penalties you see is Holroyd's going to take the penalty.
He's not.
I thought Miller might do it. Holroyd on a hat-trick then. Right-footed. Strokes it home. Wrexham do get that fourth. Holroyd gets his hat-trick. First hat-trick of the season for any Wrexham player. And he loves scoring at home, does Chris Holroyd.
Well, fair play to him. Wrexham's highest goal scorer this season so far has definitely pulled ahead of the rest with that little triplet of goals this afternoon. The most bizarre way of getting your hat-trick, I have to say, because that was an ultimate rush of blood to the defender's head.
Yeah, absolutely. A really, really... very strange. Holroyd also had a hat-trick in 2012, his last one for Macclesfield. So it's his second one, but it's been a few years. He's in good goal-scoring form at home. 2 minutes of added time, and Wrexham do get that fourth goal. But yeah, a difficult one to describe, very bizarre. One to watch on the highlights, because inexplicable, really.
Well,
I'd understand it.
I both thought it was a goalie, because the hand was so blatant. He did the goalie's job for him.
Yeah, and you'd understand if it was 0-0 in the final minutes and you're trying to save it. But when you're losing 3-0 and put your hand up to take it off the defender's head, I just don't really get it. But
well, not at the risk of getting an absolutely needless red card as well, because he was really lucky.
George Miller almost gets through there, and mistake by Anderson. But the last Wrexham hat-trick was Rob Oglebury against Hyde in 2013. So Rob Oglebury is now removed from Wrexham history, and Chris Holroyd takes over that accolade as last person to score a hat-trick. I doubt Rob Oglebury has got many other records that we need. Prior to that, ex-boss Andy Morrell. Wrexham launch the ball with Bowden from the halfway line, looking for Miller. Miller's got one to beat. In a battle with Ginty. Oh, and he gets a flick. Oh, almost there. Willing Miller to score here. He's done everything but score in his spell, and he's been a joy to watch, to be fair. He's a pleasure to have. He's just chased another lost cause. McGinty plays the ball back and he just gets a toe to it. It runs through to the keeper and doesn't quite sit up. But
would it be wrong, based on the fact that somebody scored a hat-trick, for Miller to get man of the match? Because he's done everything but score and created so much.
Well, there is the final whistle, and that decision will be someone's to make. Richard, I'll let you think about that one.
Oh, thanks.
As the final score here is Wrexham 4, Torquay 0.
You're listening to Wrexham Football Club commentary live on Calon FM, brought to you by the Wrexham AFC Media Team. Follow all of the action live and exclusive here on Calon FM. Listen on 105 FM, online at calonfm.com, or via the TuneIn radio app. Follow us on Twitter at Calon FM and at Commentary WAFC. Wrexham AFC on Calon FM. Whenever, wherever.
Calon FM.
Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? Wrexham winning 4-0 against bottom side Torquay United. An emphatic victory for Wrexham and a hat-trick for Chris Holroyd, which, as James said, is the first time a Wrexham player has scored a hat-trick since Rob Oglebury managed it against Hyde, and the first one at the racecourse since Andy Morrell got one against Rushall Olympic in 2012. So quite a feat for Holroyd, and a comprehensive performance by Wrexham. And ultimately, Richard, I mean, you can't argue with the final outcome, can you?
Absolutely not. And I got my fourth goal, so I'm happy. I'll go home pleased that it wasn't a scoreless second half. But no, that was something for the 4,200 odd send them home with a bit of cheer this afternoon. It was well worth them coming out. I think, on balance, in the end, we were very good value for the win. And, credit to Torquay. They didn't come and park the bus. They did try.
Is that the mistake they made there?
Exactly. I think in the past, you and I have sat here and commented on Torquay games that have been so dismal because they're just not interested. But I think at this point where they are, they've got to try and they've got to have a go. I just think they do. But I think, great performance. Some brilliant performances this afternoon from our guys.
Well, you'll be adjudicating that in a moment when you pick your man of the match. You've got really a few options to pick from. But certainly Torquay looked aside bereft of confidence, casting around for ideas. They tried 3 different formations throughout the match and had good possession but lacked end product. But James, if I could ask you, where did it all go right?
I think it went right with what Torquay did for us, really. It wasn't as convincing a display from our midfield or attack as Barrow, and it wasn't as convincing a defensive display at, say, Tranmere away. Something just clicked in the last couple of games. We've started creating more chances, putting the ball in the box and asking questions, but I think Torquay were very much the enemy of that, the way they played. They pressed well up front and they pressed well in their midfield. That allowed us a lot of space in the first half out wide, and a lot of space against their on the counter-attack. Their defence did have a lot of confidence in their goalkeeper, so it was very much they had to deal with it, and that put them under more pressure than perhaps they deserved to be. But yeah, we'll take nothing away from it. We just scored 4 goals. We got our first hat-trick of the season, and other teams are beating teams 4-0, 4-1, and scoring a lot of goals. So it's nice that Wrexham have finally put that got that monkey off their back, and with 7 goals in 2 games now. Interesting, that question we had and we discussed at half time about where the fine balance is. I don't know where the fine balance is, but it's a clean sheet, 4 goals. It's a good performance, but you've got to take into account a little bit of the of who we're playing.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. You can say 7 goals in 2 games is rather nice. And November 2015, the last time we scored 3 goals in consecutive games, that was the second of those was the Gateshead game when Don Bowes scored that zigzagging goal. So that's a fair distance back to go since we've done that. But the attacking configuration we have at the moment is another reason why Torquay had problems, because we were stretching them all the time when we got in behind them. What a shame we've lost George Miller now as his last game for us.
Yeah, he's unfortunately not go down with a goal to his name, but his spell. We've taken a lot of youngsters on loan over the years. I'm not just talking about Masanka and Reed, who have played their part this season and a little bit last season with Masanka. But there's a lot of youngsters that have come through from higher clubs and just not made an impact. He's come forward. That player will have a career in this at a decent level. He's a natural workhorse. He's got natural pace and he doesn't give up. How many times has he chased lost causes there? And Wrexham have benefited from it. It's been obvious today and obvious in his it took him, I think he said himself, a game and a half to work out how football's played at this level, and he's improved the players around him, and it's Bowden, Holroyd and him have formed a nice little triangle of partnerships there, and I think Rutherford's also coming to his own. He's got targets to aim at. They can play balls now that perhaps we weren't getting before or challenging, and now we are, so it makes everyone look a bit better and more confidence in them.
Miller has shown perhaps that I've agreed with what you said at half-time about the need for a big target man, but Miller has shown that there is an alternative, which is a player who can run in behind, will also create that space for Wrexham to attack and look more dangerous. The problem is you'd have to get one of Miller's quality, and I think his intelligence with his runs and his strength in holding people off will be hard to replicate.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick example before we run out of time, but Jamie Reid on the opposite side today is that player that will run behind, has lots of pace, did lots of pressing, exactly the same as George Miller did, just lacks the quality, doesn't have that finesse on the ball, the patience or the delivery or the threat. But he's, you are. It's very difficult, whereas a target man at this level, I suppose, causes anyone problems. It's a fine balance. It's a nightmare to be a manager, and that's why I'm glad I'm not one.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, Richard, which hat-trick scoring player did you give your man of the match award to?
Yeah, but I just so dearly wanted to give it to Miller as well. It wasn't Roberts, no. Do you know what? I did ask earlier, would it be like a complete... I know you've given me some stares over the years at my choices of man of the match.
Just call me Stenner.
And I did ask James, would it be complete, transgression to give Miller man of the match, because he did everything but score, and he was so creative.
He did work hard, didn't he?
Every lost cause, but when somebody in a red shirt scores a hat-trick, you can't give it to anybody else,
exactly,
can you? And I certainly wouldn't dare in your presence.
Well, let's look at it the other way around then. Holroyd has to be man of the match. He's got a hat-trick.
Yes.
He was creative. He was dangerous, obviously.
Yes.
But there were a number of other good performances. Miller's hard work made those chances possible.
Yeah.
Others who stood out, Bowden, I thought, dropping off and creating.
Yeah, Bowden, his touch let him down a couple of times, but in fairness, he was, again, he's so hard working. He's always looking to lay the ball off and flick it around the corner, and chased hard again all day. Wedgbury, he looks dangerous at times, the way his legs fly everywhere, but he's so blood and guts into everything. Same as Jennings. Two of them worked really, really hard today. Little black mark on Jennings' book once again for another yellow card, because that'll come home to roost. He'll come home to roost again though, because he'll be out for a game or two. But down to a man, and there was a comment made in commentary earlier where we were talking about fans get frustrated about this or that, and it was something, it was talking about the play that we make, and what came to me at the time was that to a man, you cannot criticise anybody on our side, because they all run for the cause, they all try their hardest. It doesn't always result in the prettiest football, it doesn't always come off, but there's not one player you could have a go at.
Yeah, that's very true. 1979, Magdeburg fans came here and saw Wrexham win. 2018, they came and they saw it again. The final score of Wrexham 4, Torquay United 0. I'll hand back to the studio.
Calon FM on 105 FM, uniting our community.